106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Wednesday, May 8th. Welcome to Double Impact. I'm your host, Gabe L. But I'm here. Guys, it's a special night. We're going to look at Rambo 4. It's an amazing movie. I really love this. Ultra violent. It has aged very well. Welcome in my guest for tonight. It's, of course, Jericho Green, but the amazing, the heartthrob himself, all the way from England. It's Matthew Marsden.
How you doing, guys?
Oh,
Great to have you. So many questions for you about this movie, Matt. I know
good.
You're going to have great answers for, but it was great. Well, first of all, I love the new intro, the new clips in there. I like how we added Bruce Lee. We got to get into Bruce Lee because he's up there with the Arnold movies, the Stallone movies. We got to pay homage to Bruce. But Rambo 4, I remember when it came out 16 years ago, damn it.
Oh my gosh.
I
was
all
5.
the young men.
I was 5.
You were just getting into elementary school, man.
So I was in my 20s. I was 29 years old. I'm 45 now, right? So
yeah, I was 27. But I remember because it had been a long time. What part 3 was 90, 91?
80, was it
89. 89.
Yeah, something.
So it had been years since
Almost
the last
20.
Rambo. So it was kind of back on the scene. Rambo's back. What is this going to be like? And holy shit, he came with the heat and the supporting cast. We've said this many times on the show. You cannot have a great action movie without a great cast. And that was done to perfection. Yourself, Julie Benz, Paul, he played the doctor, Paul Scholes, I think, from Nurse Betty. No, not Nurse Betty. With what's her name from The Sopranos, Nurse Jackie. He was a Nurse Jackie. Right. We mentioned this guy last time you were here, the guy who was the head of the team. His character was such a dick. He played that so well. The bad guys were beyond bad. They were monsters. I noticed something the bad guy did that I didn't catch. I didn't catch it till I just saw this movie again the other day. They take that young boy into his hut. Yeah. And he's like rubbing the boy's head and neck and they shit. I didn't catch that the first time. I must have looked down at my popcorn or something. But that makes his defeat even sweeter. Like, he's a pervert too, not just a killer. He's the monster that's under the monster's bed.
Right.
That guy was on another level. As far, not only that part, that was the perverted cherry on top, but how he treated the Karen people. Like they weren't even human. He probably wouldn't treat an animal like that. It was just great how he set up the bad guys being bad, and then when they got what they deserved, and the team that was put together, what a great movie! Awesome.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'm very proud of that film. It was, you know, look, I mean, I was a fan of the Rambo movies anyway, so you know, when I got the call, I'm like, well,
yeah, how cool was that to grow up watching those movies, and now you're in the fraternity of Rambo movies.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I mean, it was even now. It's still, you know, I could just never work again and be happy that I'm in an iconic franchise. You know, I mean, a couple of iconic franchises, but that one really is an amazing movie. And most people say it's their second favorite Rambo movie, and I'll take that. Right. Some people say it's their favorite Rambo movie, but most people say it's their second favorite Rambo movie, with First Blood being
it definitely has the best action and violence. It definitely does.
Yeah, I would assume, maybe I'm wrong, but maybe the people who think that, I mean, and you know, your favorite, it's subjective. It differs from person to person, but maybe they're young, because Rambo First Blood, that was on another level. That was speaking to social issues here in this country. This one speaks to some, you know, in Southeast Asia, but here in America, the Vietnam War, how the veterans were treated, that scene at the end where he just pours his heart out to the colonel. I mean, damn. But being a big fan of it, having had so many years between part 3 and part 4, it was like, how's this going to be? He's a lot older. What's this return going to be like? And not disappointed at all. And one thing I did want to ask you before I forget, Matt, the weather, the temperature, was that this thing just sitting on your back the whole time? Because my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, listen, when we went out and did it, it was kind of for real, you know. I mean, we were out in the jungle.
What country? Where was it filmed?
It was in Thailand. We were right on the border with Burma. So we were in a place called Chiang Mai, which is it's up there in the Golden Triangle. So, you know, we would get phone calls at night where they'd say, you pick up the phone, you'd be like, because, you know, you never know what time you're going to get called. You might have you know, something might change on the schedule, and they'd be like, oh, we'll kill you. And then they'd hang up. So they knew that we were. Yeah, no, it was actually really intense.
Wow.
Because they knew we were filming there.
Was there real security with you guys there? Like,
yeah, Thai special operations with us a lot.
Wow.
Certainly when we went into the jungle, you know, I mean, you wouldn't see them a lot of the time because they were out there. They were like, and those guys are super tough. You know, it's like the Thai stunt guys are some of the toughest stuntmen I've ever worked with. Like, you could, like, literally, they will clothesline each other. You know, I mean, all the explosions you see, they would just do it. You know, they'd be like, they wouldn't always have pads. Super tough.
Was there ever a time in this one where you had to climb something and one of those guys got you by the butt and pushed you over?
No, I was waiting for it, but no, that never happened. I was cool. I was cool in this one. Yeah,
you're ringing that dinner bell. Huh?
No, we did. I'll tell you one thing that was really funny. So I don't know if I told you this on the last time we spoke. I'm not entirely sure, but we were because I've been drilled by the Army Rangers and Navy SEALs and that, in the, you know, with tactics and everything, the way to move. And so we're out there in Thailand and we get all our gear. And of course, you know, I've got the 50 cal, I've got the Barrett, but you know, and look, it's iconic now, right? I mean, that's iconic for the film, but you know, I wanted to, whenever I get an opportunity to train with special operations guys, well, anyone, I'll be like, yes, I'm in. So I'd got my sidearm and everything, and I tried to make the argument that I would have like a rifle as well as my sniper rifle, right? Like I'd have like an M4 or whatever. Anyway, I was like, yeah, I should have that as well. And then we started doing the training, like movement and everything. And I saw the guys like look at me, and they came over and they went, who trained you? They pulled me immediately, and I was like, Army Rangers mainly. And they were like, oh, so do they do this and do they do that? And is this the way I'm like, hey, listen, I'm just an actor, right? Like I can't, but it was kind of cool. And it made me realize how hardcore the training was that we got. Certainly on Black Hawk Down, it was really hardcore. And I carried on that training afterwards. I'd go off with when I get an opportunity to go off and shoot with those guys, I'd go off and do it. So, you know, my muscle memory was pretty good. And then they go, I think one of the producers were like, "Hey Matt, what are you doing?" And I was like, I'm training. And they were like, "You're a sniper. You're up on the hill. You're not fighting with everybody else. So bye." And I was like, "Oh man." So I had to bug out and get yeah, I know.
That's like, in high school, I'm playing American football, and we're all, you know, on the gridiron, everyone's tackling everyone, hitting everyone. But the kicker, they go to a different field and kick for 2 hours after school.
Right.
They don't go with the rest of us. So
yeah,
that's what they relegated you to the side, huh?
they did, but you know, I mean, it was worth it because you know that weapon is something else. That Barrett 50 cal was something else.
That's a 30-pound unloaded. That thing is 30 pounds. That's serious to be carrying around. That's a lot of weight to be carrying around on a flat surface, 75 degrees. I can only imagine pumping that thing through the jungle. And one scene that made me physically tired on my couch was toward the end when you, Julie, and Stallone were humping up the hill when the dogs were chasing you guys, and he tied a piece of her shirt around his foot. And then he's like, "Go!" And you all ran up the hill to a certain point, and then you and her kept going. But when you guys are running up that hill, I was like, "Man, it's got to be 1,000% humidity if that's even a real thing."
It was rough. It was rough. So the funny thing about that, like, you know, when I got the role, he called me and he goes, "Listen," he goes, "you got to train your forearms a lot." And I'd already been doing a lot of running, so I was fit as far as running was concerned. That wasn't a problem. But he said, "You know, you're going to be carrying this gun like this." And so when you do a film like that, a lot of the time they will give you what they call a rubber, which is, you know, like a rubber gun. And it looks like almost identical to the real one, you know, for long shots and stuff like that. Mainly so that if you're jumping around, you don't get clobbered in the head with it. Or like I lost my tooth when I did Transformers. I lost my tooth because I got an M4 like stuck in this piece of wall, and it hit me in the mouth and it sheared my tooth off. But that's a funny story. I'll show you I've got the picture here actually. I'll show it you some other time because that's a whole other story. But so I was doing a lot of, like, you know, just curls like this, getting my forearms stronger and stronger and stronger. And on that, it's funny, in that particular moment, right, Sly's there and he's like, "Okay, we're going to run up the hill and you know, I'm going to say take point, and I'm going to come back down and you're going to go up." And so sometimes you go, let's just shoot the rehearsal, right? Because you never know, you might get it. So we go, "All right, let's shoot the rehearsal." And he's running up and he goes, "Take point." And we didn't figure out like which side we were going to pass on. And so I hit him or he hit me, like shoulder, like with our shoulders. It was like hitting a truck. Honestly, he was so solid. And it's, you know, people go, "Oh, you know, it's still on," but it was just like boom, immovable object, right? Like it was so like he was made out of granite. And I just kind of like rolled with it. I was like, "Oh, that's going to hurt later," you know, because he's coming down, I'm going up. So he's got the momentum, and it was like the two of us going together, bang. And you know, we kind of figured it out for the next take. But that was kind of hard. And then me and Julie, we laugh about it. There's a moment where, you know, we run along and she falls over, right? And I run up next to her and pick her up. Well, on the close up, I don't think you can see it in the movie. Because I don't normally watch my own movies. I'll watch them like at a premiere, or if someone will say, "Hey, please watch it." But I don't normally watch them because I'm just like, I've done the work and that's that. But I run up to Julie, and it was just at the time that she was going like, "Ah," something like that. And I stopped, and she got a mouthful of dirt from my shoe. It just went, bah. And we laughed about it a lot afterwards. She was like, "Yeah, Matt, remember that moment where you kicked all that crap in my mouth?" And I was like, "I am so sorry, Julie," you know, but yeah, I mean, and she was, she's a really, really terrific actress and a lovely human being. They were all great, actually. They're all great. Every member of the cast was awesome.
Let me look at two comments from the audience. Guys, everyone who's watching right now, hit the like and hit the share. And also go subscribe to Jericho's channel and Matthew. Matthew's got a great channel that he's building right now. Jericho's got his awesome political commentary channel. Those links are in the description, but hit the like and the share. Tell people right now we're talking Rambo with Matthew, who of course played Schoolboy in the movie. Here's first comment for $4.99, Lee Kindler. I know we are in the end of days when Matthew shows signs of aging. How dare you? This is my guest. What is that supposed to mean?
I'm getting older. I'm sorry.
How dare you? How dare you? But
sorry.
you did pay nearly $5, so you get the special.
Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. Shake your booty. Shake your booty.
That's right. You throw that money on the stage, you're gonna get the booty shake. There you go.
And coming to the stage.
It's called becoming distinguished. That's what it is.
And then Mark's Music Obsession, member for a year, not 9 months. That's incorrect. Evening, guys. I've actually been a member for a year. Stupid account pause. Love the new intro with Stone Cold included. Thank you. We love Stone Cold. It's one of our favorite awful movies.
Oh my goodness.
I love it so much.
The worst hero ever.
Right.
Matt, I did want to ask, you'll hear athletes, have been away from the game or something like that. They're coming off an injury or maybe they retired for a year. And they come back and you hear them say things, usually it's with football, but I got to get in football shape. So is there a difference between being in shape, in between movies or something, and movie shape, especially for something like this where, running up hills and stuff like that? Or were you pretty cool, pretty, in shape? So that kind of helped you,
well, I mean, I'm one of those guys that actually, I stay fit the majority of the time. But I'm one of those guys where I don't necessarily look it as fit as what I am. Like if you guys know the guy Joel Calzaghe, who's a British boxer, is amazing, like super fit guy, could do like 20 rounds, but he never really looked like it. So I mean, I always maintain my fitness, but you have to change for different things, right? So like when we did Black Hawk Down, I just finished doing a movie with Michael Caine, and I was training as a professional boxer. So I was running for that one. I was running every morning. It was a 6-mile run, and I went from like maybe doing 3 miles maximum to doing 6 miles, and it was like, okay, you're there with the boxers, what are you going to say? So you do a 6-mile run and then go into the gym and work for another 4 hours, do bag work, then do bags and sprint work and weights, and then come back again in the evening and do another maybe bike or the thing that we used to do that I hated, but it was really hard. There was a dry ski slope because in England you don't get much snow, so you'd run the dry ski slope, and it was like this. It was really hard. So after I finished that, I was super fit. And shortly after I did Black Hawk Down, so I was ticking over with the running. I was still hitting the bags. I was still training with the boxing. So I was pretty fit when I went into Black Hawk Down, and then we did a bunch of training with that. And again, it was like it's army training, so it's a lot of running, carrying stuff. And so throughout that period of time, and going up to Rambo, I was also doing Taekwondo twice a day. So I was training all the time.
And you're not a little guy. You said you're 6'3", right?
Yeah, I'm 6'3". So actually, when I did Rambo, I think I was about. So what I did for Rambo actually is I did those curls. Like I just sit there because he told me to do it. I actually went training with him once, which was awesome. But then I did grab the barbell and just did a lot of these, like a lot of them. And then I used to do, I'd get up in the morning, I'd have a coffee, and then I'd run a mile as fast as I could, like just flat out, like whether or not it was hills or whatever. I knew initially because I live right near Toluca Lake. So I knew that there was a route that I could do that I didn't hit any roads, right? Like, so I kind of went, so I didn't stop. I do a flat out sprint, and then stop, and then get my breath for a minute and do a flat out sprint back, and that is just brutal, like 2 miles. And I'm not a fast runner, what they call a Clydesdale. I'm not fast, but in that movie I was very lean, and so I did train differently for that. you know, a lot more cardiovascular stuff, because that's what those SAS, SBS guys are like. That's what they look like. You know, they're not big, you know, dudes. You're meant to be the gray man. So I knew I had to be prepared to do a lot of running, and you don't want to be thinking about, oh shit, you know, I can't do it, and that gets into your head for your performance. So
if you couldn't do it, would they hire a body double to do like running and all that, and then you'd be embarrassed or something? Or
I mean, yeah, I mean they can, but you know, when you're doing a shot, they want to see you, right? Like they want to see you run. I mean, they will cut into it. It's not like you're going to be running for, you know, forever. And you know, when you're doing, I'm running 6 miles, 12 miles, you know, and that's at a pace. So what I did was I ramped it up with the sprinting, so that I knew that if I had to sprint for like, you know, maybe a minute, 2 minutes, that I was all right, you know, and over a distance that I wouldn't end up like gasping at the end and you got to go back and redo it again. So it's just like raising your fitness level for that. When I did the boxing film, that was, I really had to be fit for that. And anyone that's boxed knows that, you know, when you see those guys go for 12 rounds, like those are fit guys.
Yeah,
like they are
cardio.
super fit. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, my son. Go ahead, man.
oh, I was just going to address this question from think about what you think about new father and relatively new husband. I don't know this because I'm not a Brit, but I do know what the Navy SEALs are. Is the SAS the equivalent?
No, the SAS is so the SAS started in World War II with a guy called David Sterling, and they called them the Special Air Service because they wanted to throw the Germans off. It's an army unit, but they called it the Special Air Service. But it was sprung out of what the commandos were. So this is an interesting segue into this. So the commandos, the British commandos were the first ones. I think they might have been the only ones that Hitler said that you execute them when you find them. Like you just kill them. There's no prisoners.
Oh,
Right, with the commandos, and that is the Royal Marine Commandos, right? So you got the Royal Marine Commandos. They are like the Marines, right? And then you've got the army. So the SAS had a guy called Charles Beckwith come over. He was an American army officer, and he worked with the SAS, and he said, these guys are great. This is a great idea. I'm going to go take it back to America and set up my own unit called Delta Force.
oh, okay.
So the SAS are Delta, right? Like they're very equivalent. The SBS, and this is interesting because it's relevant to the film, the SBS are more like the Navy SEALs. They're the Royal Marine Commandos. And so what they do is they go through selection, which is the same as the SAS, but then you've got the diving element on top of that, right? So when we were doing this movie, I sat down with Stallone, and my character was meant to be a Navy SEAL initially, and there's a whole story about that. So my character was meant to be a Navy SEAL, and I sat down and you know, there was already, I read for the part of Lewis, but I played him exactly like the SAS guys that I know, which are really on the down low. You know, they're not arrogant, they're not mouthy. And Sly was like, I like you for Schoolboy, which at the time was meant to take over the franchise. And I'm like, well, he's a Navy SEAL. And he's like, yeah, don't worry, I'll make him British. So I said to Stallone, I was like, look, there's rivalry in the British Army. So you got the Royal Marines and you got the Parachute Regiment, and they fight. Like they literally fight with each other all the time. I mean, they'll fight next to each other, but they fight between each other. If you go in the Parachute Regiment, it's like going into the Army Rangers. I think it's a very, very high percentage of Army Rangers that go into Delta, right? It's the same thing when it's the Parachute Regiment going into the SAS. Now, you can pretty much only get into the SBS if you're a Royal Marine Commando, right?
Okay.
So the Royal Marine Commandos are the original Green Berets.
Oh, okay.
So I said to Sly, I said, listen, there's a correlation here. You've got a Royal Marine Commando Green Beret stepping into the shoes of a Special Forces Green Beret, right? So that'd be great. Make Schoolboy SBS. Boom. He wrote it in the next day. Like it was in the script. So that's the relationship between and so there you see that tension between me and Graham, you know, in those scenes. Like Schoolboy's very chilled, And Graham's all like, "Oh yeah, shut up, schoolboy." Yeah, man. And I'm like, "Yeah, whatever," you know. So I wanted to bring that dynamic into the film, and Stallone is super, super smart, and he'll take a great idea. And so that was a great idea, right? I have one every 10 years, and that was it. So, so he and by the way, it really pissed off Ken, who was the armorer, and he got all the gear for us because they bought all the gear for a Navy SEAL. Right. So all my gear, and I was like, I can't wear that. That's not the right kind of camouflage that a Brit would wear. Not the what Graham wore was anything like what a Brit would wear, but so that's why that there was that kind of change, that look about Schoolboy. And also, if you look on the you probably wouldn't be able to see this because I've got a bunch of stuff on, but there's an angel. I'm wearing a shirt with an angel on it. And I've never actually told anyone that. That's a first. So,
what is that?
You never forget your first.
So
but you can see that the difference between Schoolboy and Graham on the boat scene when he's giving Rambo a bunch of shit. You know, the boat's slow. What the fuck are we doing out here? Blah blah blah. And then you're kind of explaining to Rambo, hey, you know, he's what was he, SAS?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
old
like,
school
SAS.
SAS.
Yeah, he's old school SAS. You know, it's kind of a dick. You know, it's cool. You know, kind of playing the peacekeeper, so to speak, because he was giving him a lot of shit. Got up in his face, but you know, Rambo just kept, you know, looks 1,000-yard stare, and even told him, so you can cut the 1,000-yard stare. I've seen it all. And I was thinking to myself, man, Rambo, fuck you up.
But, I know it was great writing, though. You know what I mean? And Graham, by the way, who is the sweetest guy ever. If ever you to meet him, he's a wonderful, wonderful human being, a very good friend of mine, and he's not like that at all. Like he's completely the opposite of that guy. So
that's hilarious.
I mean,
he played the shit out of it.
Look at this comment from Chrome. Thank you for being here, Chrome. His uncle was, I guess, the 13th survivor, Arizona, the USS Arizona at Pearl Harbor. Man, he had some wild stories. That's insane.
Just off that one day.
When I was in college, I met a Pearl Harbor survivor when I worked at Home Depot. I did. Really? I'll tell you guys really quick the funny thing about meeting him. I hate one-way streets. Don't ask me. I just hate them. I think streets should have both directions. And the town I went to college in, the town I was born in, Greeley, Colorado, has a bunch of one-way streets in the middle of town, and I hate it. I was complaining to my friend one day, if I ever meet the civil engineer that came up with this, I will beat his ass. Just said that, you know, one day. I'm working at Home Depot, a little old man in like his 80s. He's looking for lumber and tools, and we get to talk. I love old men because my grandfather was like my father to me. So I always talk to old men and ask him questions. And this old man, he'd lived in that town forever. He knew my grandparents. He went to their restaurant all the time. My grandparents had a Mexican restaurant for almost half a century. And he was the nicest old guy and this and that. And I asked him, well, what did you do? He's all, well, after the war, I'm a Pearl Harbor survivor. I was on the Arizona or one of them. He's all, and they were shooting it up, and I jumped inside a metal locker and shot it, and the bullets went up, and it made holes, and I could see sunlight coming in on me. Barely survived the Japanese attack. And I was like, that's insane. My grandpa was in the Pacific too. He was island hopping in Okinawa and all these places my grandpa fought. He told me a little bit about it. I told him, what'd you do after the war? He said, oh, I came home and got my degree, and I was a civil engineer. You know, I designed a lot of the streets in this town.
What?
I finally meet my nemesis, and I have to love him instead.
No, you're a man of your word, Gabe. You should have kicked his ass right there. Like, sorry, sir. I made him
like slamming the old guy's head into the floor. You know, I don't care.
I made myself a promise, sir. He's like, no, I respect it, man. But one scene I wanted to ask you about.
Yeah,
it's in the beginning where because you know it starts. Rambo is, you know, we find him again in Southeast Asia, just like the third one, but he's not fighting this time. Definitely the more peaceful route, catching cobras, you know, for I guess to keep the village people safe. And they find him. They come to him and ask him, we were told you know these rivers the best. We need you to take us to this point here. And he's like, go home. You guys aren't equipped. He's like, are you bringing weapons? No, we're bringing medicine. Then go home. What we want to do is we want to save lives. You're not going to change shit. Just go home. And he just looks at me and says, go home. That's it. You know, I'm not taking you. You guys will get eaten alive out there. So Julie Benz, her character, Sarah, was it?
Yeah.
She tells him, she's all, let me try, and that's the human side of Rambo. Yes, he's a savage killer. He's at this point killed probably hundreds of people, saved countless lives, but he has a soft spot for, I don't want to say weak, but maybe those who can't defend themselves. He has a soft spot for them. So she talks to him and he tells her, go home. She's like, it's not a waste of life to save. It's not a waste of your life to save somebody else's, because they're missionaries. So, he just tells her, go home. That's it. And there's the next scene. She's sitting on the boat. It's pouring rain. And he goes out there and he's like, what are you doing here? And so she talks to him, ends up convincing him to take the mission, so to speak, take them up the river. But what I wanted to know was that real rain, or was those rain machines? Because it was coming.
Oh, we had rain machines, and it
Okay.
was like utterly brutal. I got to tell. I mean, they had them on. I remember when we were going in to do the assault, because I remember reading it. Like, you're reading the script and you're like, oh, this is so badass. Like, it's badass, right? It's what you've always grown up wanting to do, is to do a scene like that when we go in and get the hostages out. But yeah, no, it was amazing. I can remember going in, and when you're on set like that and it's so dark, what they'll do is they'll just put this giant, massive light, just a huge ball that they put up there, and of course every bug in the world thinks it's the sun. Or and they're all like going to it. So it's like you see these like giant bugs like going up to it, and you're like, oh, it's a little bit brutal. But no, I mean that whole sequence, I think Stallone is clearly he won an Oscar for Rocky, so he's a very, very good writer, and he knows how to get those beats out of people. And I think that he, at that point, if you remember, like Rocky Balboa came out just before this, and he hadn't had a hit for years. Right. I mean, he was the biggest actor in the world at one point, and then he hadn't had a hit for years, and I think it made him reflect a lot on who he was and the person that he was and what was important to him. And I think you see a lot of that in both of those movies. There's a lot of heart. Even though, Rambo is, it is what it is, right? It's a brutal film. But he wanted to make a statement, and, he's talking, he could have made it about anything, and he made it about an evil regime and people trying to do good, and that you need, like I think Graham says, you send the devil in to do God's work. I think that's the line that he says.
Yeah.
And I think that's a commentary from Sly that's basically saying, sometimes you have to do these things and they're justified because the other people are very, very evil. And I mean, you don't see that kind of villain anymore, do you? You don't see the villain that is so clear cut, that is evil. And you see the good guys who are clearly good guys. I mean, even like, you have the conflicted, Graham seems like a bit of a dick, but I mean, he comes back at the end, doesn't he? And he nails it. And there is that banter. I mean, every character was really well written. You see it with Paul Schultz's character where he doesn't want to do anything. No, we don't want to get violent. And then he bashes the guy's head in with a rock, right? So you're like...
He lobotomizes that guy with the rock.
But this is reality, dude. And the thing is, we need that now, actually. We need people to understand that this is not a game. Like you think you're playing games with people's lives. But we've got veterans out there that have been in combat zones for 20 years. If they ever wanted to, let's just say, rectify things, it would be very, very fast. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like the correction would come very fast. So what you're dealing with is a bunch of people that show massive, massive restraint. And I think that's, Rambo was at that point in his life, right? Like you see him and he's trying to get on. But I mean, look, he isn't like baking cookies for a living. He's catching cobras. I mean, it's still Rambo. But I think that the tone of the movie, and I think, like you said, as years have gone by, I mean, people loved it when it came out. I mean, I can't tell you what the reaction was like in the cinema when I went with a bunch of people. It was one of the greatest things I've ever experienced as an actor. But people now are going back to it and they're going, wow, like this is probably the last hardcore action movie, right? Like, really.
I think, there's a scene. I want to run through the synopsis of the movie. My daughter gathered about 40 images for us. I can go through it in about 5 minutes so people know the plot. But there's a scene Matthew talks that confirms exactly what you're talking about, where he's forging that brutal axe or blade. He's forging it.
Yeah.
And he's kind of having those thoughts and thinking to himself. And just, I feel like in the moment, he just realizes fully what he is. He is a butcher, but he will use it for good. But he is a killing machine, and that's what he is. But I'm going to use it for good. Okay. I'm not going to go do something else or just pretend that's not what I am. Like, that's what I am. So, but yeah, I think the theme of this movie is you do what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel about it. You do what needs to be done. And tough times call for some real tough actions. So Rambo 4, guys, starts off in Southeast Asia. We're in Burma. There's civil war going on, and there's these horrible militias, and they terrorize people. They kill them. They go into villages, wipe everyone out, steal all the fighting age boys and men, and conscript them to the military. Some Christian missionaries want to go in. They want to do dental work and help people with, minor surgeries and this and that. Rambo works there catching cobras and doing things. And they're like, oh, the rivers. You're a tough guy. Take us up to the village for is it Karen? The Karen rebels?
Karen rebels. The Karen rebels. Yeah.
And he's like, no way in hell. You guys will get killed. There's pirates. There's, mercenaries. There's just everything bad you can think of is out here. You're not armed. You're a bunch of preachers and Christians. No. So the lady comes back. She convinces them to go. They go upriver. And of course, after a few hours, they're caught by some bad dudes. The bad guys board their little boat from their boat. Rambo takes them all out in 5 seconds. He just shoots each dude. It's insane. And they get to the village, the Christians. They're doing dental work. They're talking to people. They're reading the Bible with them. They're doing missionary work. All of a sudden, that militia starts shelling it with mortars, killing everyone. The violence in this thing is as real as it gets. It's horrible, the violence in this. And they kidnap the fighting age boys. I mean, they're shooting kids. They're killing dogs. These guys are the worst. They're the worst. Yeah. And then they capture all the missionaries, take them to their jungle lair where they all just sit there and just do evil all day long. You would think these guys would get tired of just being bad 24 hours a day.
No, they lean into it. They fucking lean into it.
So then, Rambo's dropped them off. He's back doing Rambo stuff, the normal stuff he does. And this guy, where was this guy from? I didn't catch. Is he from the government?
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Matt.
No, so just by the way, I just want to go back to that, the picture you did before. When I watched that segment, the one where he's got the knife in his, look, I grew up on this, right? I mean,
that's part 2. Yeah.
And when he goes, you just don't turn up, that sequence still to this day is such a brilliantly edited little part where he goes, Raven, and he's calling him, and it goes black and white. To this day, I think it's one of the coolest pieces of editing I've ever seen. I mean, for those of us that love the movie, and I was like, oh, I can't believe I'm in this film. This is unbelievable. But so in answer to your question, the next guy that comes along. So here's where it was the original script. This guy was a CIA guy. He was an agency guy in the original script. And what happens is he comes up and he says, hey, we've hired these bunch of mercenaries to come and say, go with you. We know who you are. Go with them and save these guys. So in the original script, his name was Baumgarten, I think. But in this one, they, because Sly, after the success of Rocky, Sly started changing a few things in the script, including this part of it. The Karen rebels, that's funny.
I would like to speak to the manager.
Excuse me.
No, I will wait. I will wait for the manager.
I will so wait.
I pay your salary.
Yeah. So so that was changed so that he's bringing he's the head of the church that's coming up to save the missionaries. So Sly pivoted after the success of Rocky. And look, I mean, I'm a fan of the franchise. It was gutting for me because I was meant to take over the whole franchise, but it was like, you know, this is Rambo. It's not Schoolboy, right? Like it's that's the difference. And so he changed this because originally at the end, he and I were going to go off and do another mission together, which I think would have been super cool. But the end of the movie is perfect. He made a great movie, so I've got no complaints as a fan.
And I like the fact that they changed this guy to basically the head of the church, and he tells him, he says, we're in touch with the State Department, but basically they can't do shit. And I liked how they made him the head of the church or part of that group instead of making him a CIA guy, because that's what they did in the third one. It was Colonel and the CIA guy,
Right.
what's his name?
Griggs or Greer, something with the
Yeah,
G.
they made him. That's what he was. So I like how they changed it. They didn't make it. I don't want to say the standard, but that's what you see in the action movies. You know, it's some alphabet organization guy, FBI, CIA, usually CIA. They come in and they pull him in. I don't want to. Come on, we need you for the mission. So this guy tells him, hey, they took our people. We need your help. We need you to take the team into, or where you draw. He said, you're the only guy who knows exactly where they were. So we need you to take the team there. And before that, when he took them up the river, I'm thinking, when I first saw it, I was like, okay, somehow these people are going to play into it where he's going to have to save them, obviously. But we got a double scoop of action going up the river. That scene where they come across the pirates and they try to sneak past them. And he tells the Paul, I can't remember his character's name, but he tells him, sit down, tell everybody sit down, be quiet, don't say a word. And so they're trying to sneak past the pirates and they get past them, but then they think they get past them. Then the pirates throw on the lights, boom, they come. He says, hey, I'll do the talking. Everybody sit down and shut up. And you see Sarah put on her hat because she knows they can't know I'm a woman because this is going to get bad. She knows what's going on. I think they've been there before. This wasn't their first trip there. So she knows these guys are savages. And again, back to that soft spot that he has for her. She's the one who convinced him, and he tells her, I'm doing this for you, not these guys. And if you say the word, we'll turn around and go back, because he's I'm going to do it, but I know what these guys are capable of. So you give me the word, we're out of here. And she's like, no, we're going to keep going. And these fucking pirates, they pull up, they see this, and the guy says, hey, over here, because the main guy's talking to him. He has a gun on Rambo. He's telling him, shut the fuck up. He's like, I'll give you money. He's like, I know you will. Shut the fuck up. I'll kill you. And then one of his henchmen goes, hey, we got a girl over here.
Oh, boy.
And he says, get up. He's like, get up, whore. Come over here. And he's like, no, please take what you want. We'll give you money. And he says, fuck you. And then he's looking at the guys. He starts looking. One guy, he's on the big gun, but he's kind of leaning on it. The other guy has his gun in his waistband. So the only guy with the gun out is the main guy he's talking to. And it probably took 2 seconds, if that. Bang, 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 bang. Shoots these dudes all in the face and the chest. Hops on their boat. One guy, he's already shot the shit. He reaches for his gun and he shoots this dude 4 times in his head with a 1911. It's a wrap.
Oh.
And so he says, we can still get out of here. And the other guy's like, no, we made it this far. We got to keep going. And he tells him, when he shoots him, he's like, oh, he says something like, what the hell are you doing? Or who do you think you are? And he slams him up against the side of the boat. And he goes, who are you? He's like, they would have raped her, 18 different ways from Sunday and cut your heads off. Like, these guys didn't know the savagery of what they were up against. And it's almost like, in a weird way, Rambo knew, because he's cut from the same cloth. His savagery is coming from a place of good. Theirs is from a place of evil, but it's still savagery. And he was like, he didn't really like that guy from the beginning. But there's a scene where when she's on the boat in the rain and they're talking, and it was the scene before where he tells her to go home. He's fucking huge. Stallone was jacked.
He's a fullback in this movie.
He's really big in it.
Part 1 and part 2, he was more lean. And in this one, man, he bulked the hell up because he was a fucking monster. But in this scene, and I noticed it, again, watching it from a different angle. The first time I watched it, just pure entertainment. But this time, watching it for more of an analytical, with a more analytical eye, you do look like a schoolboy. You can totally see why they gave you that nickname. Look at it. You don't look like a killer, a cold-blooded assassin, but that's what you are. That's what that whole team is. That's why they're there. And having met tons of Navy SEALs, I had the pleasure of being a keynote speaker at the Navy SEAL Museum a few years ago. So meeting tons of those operators and meeting some when I was in the service, and when I was a kid in Sea Cadets, they had a Navy SEAL come and talk to us. And all these guys, they don't look like some of the baddest men on the planet. They're in shape. Don't get me wrong. These guys are swimming like fish. They're in shape, but they're not these big muscle-bound, arrogant pricks walking around. They look very unassuming, and they are the coldest dudes you've ever seen. Like
That's
done
much
shit.
scarier if you think about it, because you won't see it coming.
Definitely, and it'll be, and these guys, can open up Pandora's box on your ass real quick. But that was so crazy how, and he was doing it for her. And again, when you guys go to save them, he's really doing it for her. He's saving her because he knows that now that those guys have possession of her, it's going to get real fucked up real quick. And that scene where they get to the camp. So 2 questions. One, if you're not in the scene, are you guys still on set?
Depends. So so the stuff when they were running, if you remember, they're running, just fast forwarding, like they're running with Graham to get him on the stretcher. So a lot of that was second unit. So they'd be on second unit and I'll be shooting first unit because, we split and we went like, the time when I split off with Julie and Sly. So we go off and shoot our stuff because that's main unit. And then they go off and shoot second unit. And the stuff
I didn't know about that. I didn't know about that concept till like 5 years ago. For the audience that doesn't know the first and second, correct me if I'm wrong, Matthew. That's like there'll be one director filming with these actors over here, but to save time and be more efficient, we'll have other people who are not in the scene. We'll just have them in a different location filming their scene, maybe on the same day or the same week, just so we get it done faster. Is that the point of it, or?
Well, yes and no. I mean, it is the point of it, but it's also mainly second unit is stunts, right? So, or they need me to get into a car and drive around the corner. Who cares who shoots that, right? But normally, so for example, when we did Black Hawk Down, I believe that the second unit director was Alexander DeWitt, who went off to be a director in his own right. Like a lot of these guys are really, really good directors. Some of the time it'll be the stunt guys, like stunt coordinators will go and they'll have the cameraman and they'll do the stunts. So for example, there was one part where we were, this is really funny. So you talk about, I all throughout my early career, it was like, is there somewhere dangerous? Let's send Matt there. So, and I'd say, yeah, I'll go, like an idiot because I don't care. But we were, it was a funny comment that happened. So we're in the middle of the jungle, right? We're like, up the, I knew we were up in the mountains, right? And, because we were doing this one shot. I mean, you can't really tell where we are. You just know there's a lot of vegetation and we're walking through it. So like when we're walking through initially, we're walking off on our own, when it's the team walking off on our own. And so we shot it with the stunt team and the second unit. It was a guy called Noon. So so people know the guy that stunt coordinated Rambo was Chad Stahelski, who directed John Wick. Oh, so okay. I mean, we had an amazing team. And then Noon, who was one of the other guys on, one of the other stunties on it, he's a legend. Like he's been, in the industry for years. So we were walking along. This is no joke. Like, so we're walking along, la la la, and then this giant snake just comes right in front of us like this, because there's like a little path, right? You mark your way through because you're like, the camera's here, you know where you're going to go. Okay, right, let's go to first, and let's go again. So first position, and then they go, okay, go, action, and then so this giant snake, and it was a cobra, like it was. I mean, and the cobras aren't like they're big. And we just kind of stopped and like watched as this giant snake went past. and Noon goes, that was a cobra. And because the Thais were there, the Thai special forces were there, and they were like, yeah. And they were like, is it dangerous? He goes, oh yeah, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
And they're like, where's the antivenom? And they went in the hospital. And so we wouldn't have made it. Like if any of us, this is what they were saying, if anyone else would have been bitten, we wouldn't have made it. And so they went, Noon goes, okay, that's a wrap. Done. We're done. We're done. I want an ambulance on set with Cobra antivenom. Like, I'm not playing. This is ridiculous. Because that's their job, right? Like, that's their job to keep you alive.
Yeah.
And we have
a minimum requirements.
Yeah, it's a minimum requirement, at least until like towards the end of filming.
Right.
But so those things would happen. You know, those things would happen. And these are like just real when you're in the jungle and you want it authentic. And Sly is, you know, he's the real deal. Like he's there with you doing that stuff, you know, so you can't really go, oh, excuse me, can I go back to my trailer? Because you'd be like, oh, the boss isn't going back to his trailer and it's Sly and you'll never live it down. So, so there's second, in answer to your question, there is a second unit that runs mainly, it's not necessarily for like saving time or money because you have to set up a whole different team. Okay. A lot of the time it's like you have your schedule, you get your main acting. I mean, it happened on Black Hawk Down. I mean, every movie I've done, they've had a second unit shooting. On the majority of them, I haven't been a part of the second unit because I normally in a lot of them got all the dialogue, right? Because like British actor, give him all the words, he'll say them. So I'm on camera and normally interacting with the director. But for those other shots, you go off and do second unit. And that's when second unit will be like, okay, well, we're shooting the helicopters today and you're not in it, right? Like you're not in the helicopter. You're just having a helicopter shoot by, right? So that's why you use second unit. And so sometimes, and listen, you can have a third unit as well in the big movies.
Oh, wow.
Right, in the really big movies, you have 3 units going. And that'll be like, you know, setting up some giant action sequence. And with that, let's say if it's a Nolan film, you know, they'll set it all up and he'll run to the next set and go and shoot that and be there. So it's not necessarily independent of him. You know what I mean?
Right.
But mainly it's an independent second unit director. My friend Tony Giglio has done second unit for Paul Anderson a lot because he shoots really good action. And you know, sometimes, you know, if you want to shoot a big zombie, you don't want to use the main director for it because, and what they'll do is they'll set the tone for it. You know what I mean? So it's not like, oh, this is a completely different style of directing. You're like, okay, you got to copy this style, go over and do it. So, and like silly things like you've got a hand coming into frame. You don't need, you know, Ridley Scott there to put a hand coming into frame.
We need really to get this hand right.
Real quick, Kaiser Schlinken Poopin?
That's a great name.
He sent me Canadian $5. Now,
hey,
I'm not a finance guy. That could be $1 million US. I have
5 loonies, dude. Hey, 5 loonies.
Well, thank you. And he sent a super sticker, which is a bunch of 10s over here moving. I'm unsure what that is, but thank you for the super sticker, friend. And of course, whenever you throw money on the stage, Van Damme's gonna shake it for you.
Shake, 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 shake your booty, shake your booty.
There
Some
you go.
Belgian buns right there for you.
Have you ever met the namesake of this show, Matthew? We named the show Double Impact after Van Damme's movie, Double Impact. I love Jean-Claude Van Damme. One of my favorite 90s action guys when I was a middle schooler and a high schooler. Would watch his movies every weekend with my best friend. Have you ever met him? Because I've never met him and I want to meet him. No,
I haven't. And you know what? Like, what I wore the VHS tape out of, oh my gosh, it just went out my, No Retreat, No Surrender.
Wow.
I love that movie. I love that movie. So it is you, the son, is it not?
The Philadelphia Mafia's big plans to consolidate power and build wealth is to take over dojos for middle schoolers on the West Coast.
That's an untapped resource, man.
I love that movie, though. It was like that. To
I
me
love
was
it
like
too, but for different
America.
reasons than you.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those movies you watch as a kid and it's amazing, and then you grow up and realize, okay, maybe that wasn't Oscar.
Yeah, and do you remember when, like, but I just remember because the other kid was the star, right? and then Van Damme in the end, and he rips his shirt off, and you're like, holy shit, like this guy is jacked.
Okay, hold on, Matthew, though, but who was the guy that, like, the drug addicted hobo pretending to be Bruce Lee in the basement with that kid training him? Because I refuse to believe he was having a supernatural experience of meeting the ghost of Bruce Lee. That was just some vagrant on the streets of Seattle pretending to be him.
Yeah, that was kind of.
And
funny.
I feel like the people that made that movie did not have permission from the Bruce Lee estate to make him a central point.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. But look, I mean, still, Van Damme. I mean, look, I think you had Arnie and Sly. They were the giants, right?
Right.
And then you had Van Damme.
Van Damme and Seagal was the B, and then Stallone and Arnold was A. You know?
They were the A-lister. You know, I mean, the big. But Van Damme. I mean, I loved Kickboxer. I loved Bloodsport. Just fantastic films. You know, genre films. I mean, I love it. You know, when he's like,
right.
You know, like it's so great. But then Universal Soldier. I remember watching Universal Soldier, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" You know, the part where they run down the dam.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I just met. I mean, I've met Roland Emmerich, who directed that. Been to dinner with him, and I just remember going, you know, Universal Soldier was just such a great idea. Like, so it should have been. I mean, I know it was a franchise, but really, it would have been great if they would have stayed with like Van Damme as the lead. But I love that. But yeah, I mean, all those, you know, do you remember? He's like, the one thing I'm not proud of Jean-Claude Van Damme for is his mullet in Time Cop.
Oh, that's Matthew Marsden, everyone. He has to go. No.
The mullet
and Hard Target. It was a little bit longer, but that was a mullet.
Ooh, that
Hard Target when they were in Louisiana. That was a mullet Jerry curl.
Right.
That was a couple hairstyles mixed together.
Yeah.
But yeah, Van Damme. I remember Universal Soldier. It was cutting edge technology. They had you know, the little
the eye thing.
Yeah, but you look back at it now, and that's like just all clunky and huge. And but yeah, that was a great one, man. Van Damme, he gave us some heat, man. I'm very, very happy.
You got to live in the moment with those movies, because you remember when they came out. Like, it's very easy to look back. I mean, look, like this one, like Rambo. I mean, I knew when I watched it, when I first saw it, and Glenn McPherson was the DP. And what's interesting about that, so he did a movie with Bruce Willis called 16 Blocks before he did this.
Most Def.
Yeah. And like, this movie shot beautifully. Like Rambo, like you mentioned the moment where they kill the lights and they go past the pirates. It's a really, really well shot film.
Right.
And then actually it's funny because Paul Anderson, the director of Resident Evil, who's a good friend of mine, he calls me up and he goes, "Who's your DP on that?" And I went, "It's a guy called Glenn McPherson." And he goes, "What's he like?" I went, "Super cool. Like, super cool guy, very, very talented." And Glenn has done all of Paul's movies since then. And Paul
invited 10%, because
I asked it. I honestly, I went to the premiere. I went to the premiere of like Resident Evil. I don't know which one it was, but I went to it and I saw Glenn McPherson. And I was like, "Dude, like, you owe me a 10% commission. I've made you millions of dollars." Right. You know, because you wouldn't have got the gig if it wasn't for me, because Paul, you know, I mean, that's the way it goes, right? You call someone, and if I would have gone, "Oh, you know what? He's not a very nice person. He's awkward on set and he's a bit of a diva," Paul would have gone, "No, okay, well, maybe not." Right. But he was really great. And so those movies, if you look at those ones after the one that I did when Paul came back to direct it. So the one I did was directed by Russell Mulcahy, which, you know, Highlander, I'm like, I'm in. But they're shot really beautifully. The Resident Evil movies look really, really good. And you can kind of see that in this. You can see the way it's shot in this. The reason why I'm saying that is it stands up, right? Like, the story and the film, the way it looks, still stands up today.
I would say visually,
you know what I mean?
Visually, this is a fantastic looking movie. And I say that with authority. As you may know, I make my living as an illustrator, making images for a living, you know. So, yeah, I think the color's fantastic and the composition design is fantastic in this movie. So
one thing I noticed, and maybe there were ones before this, but this is always in the back of my mind of the first movie I saw that was using the digital blood. Like everything
Yeah.
wasn't practical. There was some, but everything wasn't practical. There was a good usage of the digital blood and stuff like that. And speaking of colors and the way things look, the scene where you guys are going into the camp to rescue the missionaries, and they have that scene where the soldiers, they took some I don't know, some village women or whatever, and they're doing whatever, this scene right here, and then somebody pops red smoke. That shit looks so cool in that scene, just the red smoke, and it just made it more angry, and it made those guys even worse to see that red and the things they were doing.
They're like orcs or something, you know. They're like wild animals. These bad guys, you know. They're like it's so strange.
And then that's the scene where you see one of the soldiers bring the main guy. Was it Tent? Was his name?
Yeah.
And they bring him the boy. You know, it's during this scene. Another part in here, I mentioned it last time we spoke, but the part where you're just Stallone and Rambo and Sarah, they're about to get caught when they're escaping, because there was a certain time you're supposed to be back. 15 minutes, we're out of here. Grandma's like, fuck it, they're not here, we're gone. He slams Paul on the ground and tells him, that was the deal, we're out of here. So they're about to get got. Schoolboy, bang, bang, hits those dudes, I think 3 or 4 guys with the 50, like makes them do a backflip. And the scene where Rambo's crawling under the huts or whatever, because they're all raised up. And a lot of those reasons they have them raised like that is so snakes don't come into your hut in the middle of the night and bite you in your face. So that's why a lot of them are raised on those stilts, or, they're all up. But they're going underneath them. He's going through the pig pen and stuff. He sees Sarah there, but then a guy comes and gets her and takes her, away. So he's like, shit, now I got to follow where this guy's taking her. Takes her into a hut or whatever, or a room with another guy. He's about to do the unspeakable, and then Stallone just pops up behind that dude. Grabs him by his throat. He's crushing this dude's throat in his hands. Just pure anger. That's all. This is pure anger.
Right.
Crushes this dude's throat, lifts him up off the ground. You start to see the blood run down this dude's t-shirt. And I mean, and Sarah's just like, well, she's not making a lot of noise for obvious reasons, but she's just like, holy shit. And he crushes this dude's throat, lifts him up, and then rips his throat out. And just the way he just discarded him, he just threw him down like the piece of trash that he was. And Rambo's like, okay, this is just a Tuesday in my life. Let's get out of here. And she's just like, oh my, did you just see what you just did to this guy? But no time. We got to get the hell out of here. And man, fuck that dude up. That's probably my favorite scene out of this movie, because it's almost like the anger of them taking her, the anger of everything, from him being a veteran, the way he was treated in part 1, the buddies that he lost, the Murdoch screwing him over in the second one where he left him behind when he was supposed to rescue him. Everything was in his hand around that dude's throat. It was just savage. Absolutely savage. Fuck that dude up.
Yeah. I love that it's a bit of misdirection, because that guy's unbuckling his pants and the woman is showering. You know what's going to happen. And it's like, ugh, and you think Stallone has stabbed him or something normal. And then the seconds go by, and the hand on the throat, you see blood start to come out of the fingers, like, oh, he didn't even stab him. He's just gonna rip the meat out of his neck.
And he picks him up. I was like,
you know what's funny about that? So what's funny about that is, I don't know if you guys saw it in the theater, right? But the first encounter that you spoke about, Jericho, where he shoots everyone with a 1911, that's like the first kind of like, okay,
oh shit,
yeah, it's massively violent, right? It's like super violent the way it's done. But then this, I remember being in the theater and people going, "Oh, he can't be doing that." Like, no, oh no, oh. You know what I mean? He was like this kind of like crescendo building, and then the rips the throat out, just throws the guy to one side, and then they, because obviously when I take out the guards, it's a super cool shot. And then so I'm just trying to think about the timeline. So I mean,
Well,
he shoots the guy through the head, right? He shoots the guy through the head
Right.
with the arrow, which is super brutal.
Well,
but then
check it out. It goes in the guy's head and out his eye socket. If you look close here, it's coming out of his eye, dude.
And he falls to the side onto the landmine.
Right.
Blows his ass into chunks everywhere.
And I watched the Criterion Collection version of this, and there was a line they took out. Stallone, after he shot him through the eye, he's like, you didn't see that coming. It's they took
Not a lot of people know that.
Yeah,
but and by the way, that scene that you're showing there, man, like, and I've read the script, and when you see it, like, you read it, right, and you have it in your head, but when you see it, the tension, like, it's really the guy that edited this did an unbelievable job.
It's
Sean
nasty.
Albertson, he's unbelievable.
Yeah, let me move the plot forward a little bit for everyone watching who hasn't seen it. Just so the missionaries have been captured. The mercenary team is hired. Rambo's going to take them up the river. They get to that village where the Christian missionaries were with the CAIN rebels. And you were there, Matthew, and all your guys. And there's just dead bodies, dead animals. There's heads on spikes. There are men that were hung and hanging. It's awful.
And it fucks you guys up.
It's
all
so
these
gross.
Team members are combat vets. You guys have seen crazy shit, but it even gives you guys are blown away at the savagery of these guys, the dead bodies, the people that were hung, and the heads that were missing. I mean, and a couple of guys on the team were just like, what the fuck, man? It was very crazy. That scene.
But yeah, and you guys
powerful.
are on the trail with a local like rebel militia guy. He's armed with a kid. They're trackers. They're going to help you find the secret base where the missionaries are held prisoner. And all of a sudden, a truck of these bad guys shows up with some of the captured villagers. And for fun, they're going to make them run across the rice paddy after they throw a few landmines in there. Maybe you'll step on them, maybe you won't. And these assholes are going to gamble on it. And you, Matthew, and the other guys, you're like, what do we do? What do we do? Like, we can't just open fire. We'll get all these people killed, and we'll give away that we're here. They don't even know we're in the country. And then out of the shadows, this dude comes and just starts lacing people with his arrow. He just starts ruining these guys.
And they tell him, Graham tells him, when they pull up, he's like, I'll come with you. Because they don't know who this is. They think he's just some jacked boat guy. That's it. They don't know that this is John Rambo. So he's telling him, what? He's like, no, you'll slow us down. He's like, no, I won't. I'll keep up with you. No, man, you stay with the boat. You stay right here. If we need you, what if we need to escape? You stay with the boat. You ain't shit. And that's what Graham's telling him. And then all of a sudden, dude, he shows up and just starts wham, just fucking these dudes up with arrows. One guy runs to the truck. You see the arrow go through his head, and then you hear it hit the truck when it went through him. And then Graham is like, fuck that. You're not coming with us. And he puts, the arrow like a couple inches from his face.
Yeah.
Like and he tells him, he's like, if you guys are going to shoot, now's the time. And even if they did shoot him, once his finger lets go, that arrow is going right through his face, guaranteed. Like it's a no-win situation for Graham. And then they realize, okay, this dude, he's a bad motherfucker. Maybe he can come with us.
And you get one of my favorite things you get in action adventure movies is breaking into the castle. You got the Wizard of Oz, you got Star Wars, Indiana Jones and Raiders. He steals the Nazi uniform. I love the breaking into the bad guy base. You guys do it. You steal that truck in the rain. You break into the evil bad guy base. They're partying, harassing, we'll put it that way, harassing those women, getting drunk, and have the missionaries held captive. Now, Matthew, please tell us about the knife. You make your way up the tower because you're the sniper with the 50 cal. Everyone else is jumping out of the truck to go look for the prisoners throughout the bad guy base.
You need the high
What's
ground.
up with that knife? Because you told me something about the OG Rambo knife, and please tell the audience.
Yeah, so basically, me doing my actor thing, because you have a say in what you wear, right? Because, you can make a case for what your character would and wouldn't wear and what it would and wouldn't carry, So I chose my sidearm, I had a P226 SIG. And then I had a what they call a Fairburn Sykes dagger. And the Fairburn Sykes dagger is it's this very long, thin dagger that the British Special Forces use. And I used it in this scene. And then they CGI'd over it the Rambo knife, because this is a little bit of a nod to where the movie originally was going to be going, which was me taking out. There's the Fairburn Sykes. It's a super elegant knife. For any of you knife freaks out there, you should know about this knife. It's really, really good. I mean, it's mainly for like coming up and like and sticking people in the neck. It's not like a slicing knife. It's meant to be for like jabbing people. But like, and you see, because when I go in, I take him down and I kill him. The first guard, I go and stab him that way, go around his neck and stab him. And that was the whole point of that knife. But when I'm sitting there watching the movie, and I'm like, whoa, they changed it. Sly changed it. And I think that initially it was the way it was going to run is, it's like I say, it's a nod to the fact that Schoolboy is actually going to take over the franchise. And by the way, when you said earlier on about him like forging the knife, I remember when he came up, because I mean, we all, in England, you couldn't really get that Rambo knife, but everybody wanted one where you could take the top off and you'd have like a compass in it. And I always wanted one. And then he's like, I made this. And he actually I think he made one of them. Like really, when he's hammering it, he made it, that knife, which is, again, it's another iconic knife. But if you think of that, like that, he said, I see myself as like the blunt force instrument, right? Like I'm the guy that rips out the necks. I'm the guy that, chops people's guts out. You are the guy that comes in and you are surgical. Like you're absolutely surgical. You're more, you're the kind of like Rambo 2.0, right? You're the updated, more surgical warrior. And that's what he wanted to get across with this. And initially there was there it is. It's just crazy.
Just fucking shit up with that thing.
So that,
it's an unbelievable knife.
Oh, it's ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, he made that choice, and he really wanted to separate it. Again, he's a master storyteller and filmmaker. I mean, it's every single moment is why it's, you get such an iconic film.
And as a sniper would be, surgical, precise, quiet, stealthy.
And I told him, by the way, in that scene where we're going up and I'm cleaning bits and bobs with my sniper rifle. Originally, I had a like 3-page scene on that, and it was just me talking about, this is this and this is what this, blah 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 blah. And I went, Sly, there's not a sniper that I know that would talk to a stranger about his gun and go on like that. They're very, very quiet. And so, and you can see that character arc. I am an actor. Let me talk about me for a minute. So, but you can see the character arc of Schoolboy, because he starts talking to Rambo, right? Then when he gets off the boat, he says, "You can come with me." Right? If you remember that, when he's like, "No, he's a boatman, he stays with the boat," right? Yeah. And then again, when we're in the that scene where they throw the landmines in, I say, "What's your call?" to him. Right. What do you think you should do? Right. And so there's, he already knows. Schoolboy already picked it up. He already knew that this guy wasn't just a boatman. Yeah. He knew. Yeah. He knew. So that scene was a lot. I'm probably the only actor in the history of Hollywood that said, "Can I have less lines?" Like, because most guys are wanting to do more. But for me, it's all about the scene and the character, and you have to be a slave to that. Right, you have to really. A lot of people go in and say, "How can I impress myself on the scene?" I don't. I'm like, how can I be a servant to the scene? How can I make? You didn't want to do
a 5-minute soliloquy on the sniper scope on the rifle?
Yeah, no, he would have ended up on the cutting room floor anyway. But it just was out of character. And Sly said to me, he goes, "You know what? I don't say anything. You don't say anything. We're not going to have much of a movie, right, with no dialogue." I said, "Well, you wrote me as the person to come after you, right? Like the one you're going to be passing the baton to. So, of course, we're going to have similarities, right?" Because Rambo wouldn't want to, as much as, what about our soldier Lewis is, he wouldn't want to go on another mission with Lewis. He'd consider him to be a liability. You know what I mean?
And I'm offended that you said the word slave. But anyway, if
let me clip this one real quick because it came up a while ago. Sorry, Jerko. Shrapnel for $5 American. Thank you. Any chance of an Apocalypse Now or The Crow watch? Shrapnel, if you go back in our catalog, we did The Crow. That is one of our favorite movies.
October.
I love that movie. I love that movie.
Every October,
It's a great
Matthew, we
film.
pick 4 Halloween scary movies, and we do them for the 4 weeks of October on the channel. Gabe, Gigi, and Matthew, check out Fallout if you want to see a proper good game adaptation. I think he's talking about Fallout on Amazon. And here's a little booty shaking for you, Shrapnel. Thank you for the $5.
Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. Shake your booty. Shake your booty.
Yeah.
Now,
What were the other 3
mileage.
films, by the way?
What now?
For your horror films for Halloween.
What did we do this year? I'd have to go look at the YouTube channel, but I'd have to go look at my YouTube channel. We do so many movies on here, but I can take a look. But I know we've done Blade, we've done The Crow.
Yeah, The Crow, Blade.
This year
I love Blade.
We did Friday.
love
the 13th.
Blade.
Blade is fantastic.
Stephen
Blade.
Norrington is an amazing director.
I remember there are a handful of movies that I remember watching in the theater. Matrix was one of them, but Blade. I remember the build up to Blade. And we've talked about this before. Back in the day, before everything is streamed and you could see, the behind the scenes of a movie being made and they're wearing the suit, the little white balls, and, before they add the CGI, and everything was available about everything. It was all about the buildup and the commercials and the previews. You would stop what you're doing to watch the previews during a commercial. Back when we had commercials, now you can go streaming. My kids are like, commercials? And that's when they show you all the cool shit coming out. But Blade, Wesley Snipes playing Blade, I couldn't wait. I went with my stepdad to watch that movie. And I remember it was one of the coolest fucking movies I had ever seen. Right from the beginning, the long black coat. The guy goes to the vampire dance party. The blood's coming out of the sprinkler system. And the DJ with the lights on his head and shit.
That went,
and he's and what a testament to what a man will do following vagina. This dude was following. They're walking past the bodies that were vacuum sealed. It's in like a butcher place. The bouncer that looks like a vampire. That dude didn't see none of that. He was following that girl to the ends of the earth, and then she like ditched him. She disappears into the crowd. People are bumping into him and shit, because they know he's a human. They're all vampires. That movie was so fucking great.
That shot where he stands there and he throws that thing and he goes and he catches it again. I mean, he was what I loved about that. Oh, by the way, but I thought Black Panther was the first black superhero.
Right.
But anyway,
well, if we want to talk about the first black superhero, I think it is Blade. But like the first superhero movie, the first Marvel movie to do good and get good reviews was Blade. Before Spider-Man, before X-Men, that movie got good reviews. I think it did good at the box office. It's a great movie, though.
It's a really like good movie. The only thing I think like this with Rambo as well, like when you look back on it, like the CGI could be a little bit better. There's a couple of moments in Rambo where I'm like, oh, yeah. But the thing is you watch it on the big screen and you don't pick that up at all. It's like when it goes to the little screen or the smaller screen. But that ending with Stephen Dorff, where the blood goes all weird, like that is dated badly. But everything else, I mean, and he's an excellent martial artist. Like he's absolutely great, and he just nails it. I mean, every single aspect of that film is really
one of the
great
lines of all time. He says, "Motherfucker's always trying to ice skate
uphill." There's always a motherfucker trying to ice skate uphill. One last thing I got to say about that movie. In the beginning, in that scene where the whole blood dance club or whatever, and they turn the blood off, and you're starting to hear people whisper, "Daywalker." It pans up from his feet, from his boots, and it just goes up and it has that sound like that real dark music, but it pans up and you just see with the buckles and the leather duster and all that. Oh my God.
Even the part where he runs, he's chasing after him, right? And he goes through the window.
Yes.
And he
the hospital,
It's all great. It's all really great.
It's so good.
And then, you find out that it's his mom and later on, and that it's like everything's white, right? And she comes out of the coffin, and I mean the whole thing. I mean, because Stephen Norrington was a music video director, and you can tell. So in that little period, just so the audience knows, it's funny because I've seen on a couple of the comments like they don't know the movies, but the 90s was really a period where they were moving very, very big music video directors into film,
Right.
right?
Right.
So it used to be commercial directors, like Ridley was a commercial director, Tony Scott was a commercial director. What's his name was a music video director. Who's the guy that did Fight Club? Oh, come on, guys.
Don't know. Don't know.
Who did Fight Club?
No
Come on,
idea.
guys. You got to know that.
We can't talk about it.
Oh,
It was the first rule of Fight Club.
gosh, what's his name now?
David Fincher.
David Fincher.
Right.
So David Fincher directed the Freedom 90 video by George Michael. So there was a history of it, of people moving across. I mean, Fincher's on another level, right? Because he came in. But I met a bunch of those.
Pretty good. He's pretty good.
He's all right.
He's all right,
But again, so like Norrington was one of those guys that was coming in and really was excellent with visuals. And I met a couple of guys because here's just a little segue for you, so you guys know. So when you come into Hollywood and you do a bunch of good movies and you start getting a reputation, you get what's called, you go into the studio list, which means you can greenlight films, or you are in a shout for the studio movies. And I was actually on a studio list when I came to Hollywood. So I found that out. I didn't know that. I found that out afterwards, and that's a whole story I'll tell you guys off air. But I met with this guy. Paul Hunter was another one. He did Bulletproof Monk. I met with him for Bulletproof Monk. And there was another guy. Yeah, so some of them don't know story. Some of them are amazing music video directors and don't know story. Other guys are really good. So Paul Hunter was the biggest music video director in Hollywood. And then he did Bulletproof Monk. And when Bulletproof Monk was coming out, dude, everyone wanted to be in that film. It was just everybody wanted to be in that movie.
We reviewed Bulletproof Monk on this channel, didn't we, Jericho?
Sure did, at my suggestion.
Well,
I'm glad
of
you
all the
didn't get that
movies
one, Matt.
Yeah.
of all the movies I've ever seen, Bulletproof Monk is one of them.
But that was a time in the early 2000s where these were like, Hellboy, Bulletproof Monk. It was all that kind of like $25 million movie that you go and do. I did one of them, and Anacondas, that was one of those kind of movies that were around those like kind of mid budget B movie kind of feels, but made a lot of money, or were made to make a lot of money. But so I went in and I met this music video director, and literally he didn't have any idea about the script. And I'm sitting there talking to him, and this guy was given $25 million, never done a movie before. And I'm talking there, and I'm like, he didn't even know the characters. Just didn't know. And that movie never went in the end, but it's one of the best scripts that I've ever read. Actually, yeah, wow. It was a Neil Moritz movie, and so I met with Neil Moritz, and Neil was like, "This is the guy. He's the guy that's going to do this film." And I was like, "Okay, well, that's good when Neil Moritz is bigging you up." But there was that era where music video directors were going into film, and Norrington was one that made it, right? Like he was one that made it look great, had a great story, and knew how to deal with the actors. And apparently, like Wesley was not easy to work with on that, but he's amazing in it.
Let me just handle a little business here. First of all, we got a little bit of celeb in the audience here. Chris Loesch. This is the husband of Dana Loesch. Chris, please follow me on Twitter. Fan of what your wife does. She's speaking out. Love the positions you guys have. I love it. You guys, if you're familiar with Dana Loesch.
Can I just say, by the way, I got to correct you on this, Gabe, because Chris will say. Chris is one of my closest friends.
Oh, right? Really?
So this is he's one of my closest friends. Like he's the real deal. His wife is the real deal. He is a super talented musician that was basically canceled because of what what Dana does.
Right.
And they are two of the nicest, like greatest people you ever meet. But it's Lash. And I said Loesch for the
It's okay.
longest time.
It's okay.
It's
It's
Lash.
okay because I am Gabe El Taib and everyone calls me El Tab. I apologize, Mr. Lash. I do apologize. I hear everyone say Loesch. You can call me El Tab if you need to. When I was in college, the local grocery store, there was a little Chinese man and he would call me Mr. El Tabby. And he called me this for years, and I did not have the heart to correct him because it'd been like 5 years at this point. So have a great day, Mr. El Tabby. And I'm like, thank you.
Thanks.
You know what's funny? When I first came over to California, I'd go into you know, because they don't do this in the UK, right? You bag your own. You know, if you were to expect
bag it yourself.
Bag your own shit, mate. So
get
like
the fuck out afterwards.
when people are like, you know, people are like putting stuff in, and you know they read your name, right? They go, "Thank you very much, Mr. Marsden." They can't say my name, which is really weird.
Marsden.
Marsden, that's easy.
It's a very easy name, right? But I don't know what it is. Marsden.
Stupid hippies.
Thank you, Mr. Martian. You know,
Mr. Martian. I'm like, bebop. You know, but yeah, but seriously, if anyone here, like, they should follow Chris and they should follow Dana because I'll tell you this, guys, and Chris and Dana are two of the most authentic people you will ever meet, and you know you see in politics there's a lot of grifters, and you know, and these guys are amazing people. Like seriously, they're really really good people. So yeah. And you should have Chris on here. You guys should have Chris on here.
I'd love to have him. I think I follow him on Twitter. I know I've followed his wife for a long time. So yeah, I love the message though. I'll definitely follow you. Chris, follow me. Tell your wife to follow me too. We gotta get these like-minded people. I'm assembling a team. We gotta get the like-minded people together.
Dream team.
You know. So a little other business. So Chris, thank you for watching. And also Kaiser Schlinkenfuppen sent another, guys, not 5, 10 Canadian. That could be $1 billion American. I have no idea.
Dude, you're a billionaire.
I'm a billionaire. I gotta go, guys. I'm a billionaire. See you later.
Like Timu, chopping like a billionaire.
So if you're gonna throw 10 on the stage, then I'm gonna shake it. Here you go, friend.
Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. Shake your booty. Shake your booty.
And those were, just so everyone can see what you paid for, they were these stickers, super stickers.
Stickers.
Someone jumping out of a cloud saying hiya, and then there was a lemon and a tiny lime wishing us a happy day. So thank you, Mr. Schlinkenfuppen. Thank you very much.
Now, this scene, if you like to see people get stabbed, you're going to love this scene. Because there's a scene, again, where they're crawling under the huts, and I can't remember which team member. I think it's the Asian guy with a beard.
Tim. It's Tim.
He sticks a knife under this dude's chin.
It's fantastic.
And then shanks the shit out of him like 10 times. I was like, damn. But again, you can feel it wasn't just I'm taking this dude out in a stealth way. It was we just saw what you guys did to those villagers. And dude, he just the anger that he sticks this dude because he's who was it? Yeah, he's looking under there because he hears something or something like that. The soldier looks under there. When he sticks his head under there, that's when he just gets him right under here with the knife and then pulls him under there and stabs the shit out of him. And then from this scene on, because again, this like Rambo 2, when he gets the POW and he's saving him before Murdoch screws him over, it's at night. And so when the sunlight comes up, these guys all realize they see all these dead soldiers laying around that he took out to get the girl or to get the POW, and him and the girl are going too. And that's when they start sounding the alarm and blowing the whistles. You know, everybody get up, some shit happened. So after this scene is when, like so far in the movie, there have been bursts of action here and there. It's like if you're driving and you're on a straightaway and you hit the gas for a little bit, get up to about 90, but then you slow down. After this scene, pedal to the metal, all the way to the end of the movie. That's when they start chasing these dudes, the dogs. They find that bomb. Earlier in the scene, they come across an old bomb that was like stuck in the ground. They say, what the hell is this?
World War II, a giant British bomb, right?
Old boy bomb. The tall
Yeah, and
boy bomb.
it didn't go off. It was just a dud. So that comes back in,
And guys,
this scene in the end.
This bomb is like the size of a sedan. It's not like a little bomb. It's huge.
Yeah, it's like 10, 12 feet long. It's giant. It's just stuck basically in the ground, like it landed and never went off.
Right.
And so they're splitting up, and it's they're about to go their separate ways. And Schoolboy says, he's all right, what do we got? He's all, I got a claymore. And he says, give me that claymore. He rips the bottom part of her shirt, rips it, ties it around his foot to leave a scent trail for the dogs to come after, to get them away from them. And so she can go with Schoolboy. And he's drawing them away, and he tells Schoolboy, let off a shot. And he goes, what? Let off a shot. And I remember in watching this, I was like, man, their eardrums would be finished. Because Sarah's like 2 feet away. Rambo's like the same distance, and he, with a 50, just goes, oh, boom, and shoots that shit off. And you see it cuts to the soldiers, and they see it. And even the rest of the team, they hear that shot, and they'll look in that direction. And so he's drawing all the attention away from them. And he says, give me your claymore. And he takes off, and he takes his claymore, goes back to that bomb, and he takes the piece of cloth from her, ties it around a string, and then puts it on the claymore, pulls the pin. So then, of course, the dogs will lead him to it. They'll grab it, pull it, and it sets it off. And then it's cutting back. It's cutting to them, the soldiers getting to the bomb, and Rambo just running to get away from the blast radius. And these dudes pull that cord, and it sets that, and its claymore goes off. Boom! This bomb goes off. It's the biggest fucking bomb ever. All those dudes, they're done. They're evaporated. They're in the upper room. They're gone. And he's getting away from the blast radius. And of course, you got all this shrapnel and stuff and debris just blowing behind him. And then we get to, this scene right here. So how can you kind of explain this, like the makeup and stuff? Because this isn't CGI. This is like practical.
Nasty.
This is.
I'll let Matthew explain, but just so the audience knows, they saved everyone from the village at night. So the mercenary team is running with the missionaries. And I guess Graham gets hit by
he steps on a landmine,
and it annihilates his leg. He doesn't lose his foot, but he loses most of his calf and probably breaks bones. Go ahead with whatever you got for us.
Well, yeah. So basically, what happens is when the team goes into the compound, and the mercenaries, we get everyone back apart from Julie and Sly. So Sly's gone in. He still hasn't got Julie out. So that's the moment where Lewis, who's Graham's character, says, look, we came here for these guys. I'm sorry, we got to go. So he bugs out. It's important because we split, right? We split at this point. And you think that Schoolboy's gone with them. And that's when, Rambo rescues Julie's character, Sarah. And when she's coming out, Schoolboy saves them both. And so they're in a team of 3, and the rest of the team are off doing the other stuff with the missionaries. So they're 2 separate teams, and that's what I was talking about the second unit, right? For context, earlier on, like that's those guys will go into second unit, and the 3 of us will go and shoot our stuff because Sly's in the scene, so he's there directing it. He can't be in the scene and directing another one at the same time. So Graham gets injured, and it's a really nasty injury. So they basically, so with something like this, you do practical effects, and that is, you can go into, it's like gelatin. You basically build it up, and it's. The makeup team was excellent on the team on the film, so you can see it there. So they kind of patch him up, and that you still got to go because everyone's coming after you at this point. But isn't it another little bit of trivia? Is originally in the script there was no claymore. Well, I had the claymore mine, but the original script had me sitting on the top of a hill shooting the tall boy bomb. So what Rambo did was run with the with same thing with the Julie's clothes on her, so it's the dogs are following her. And then what he does is he goes round it and runs. And as he's running, I'm shooting the bomb, trying to get it to detonate, and it won't. I'm like, dunk, and it doesn't go off. Dunk. And they're closing on him, and then boom. And at that point, by the way, Sly did have a stunt double. He rarely used him. but he's running. And I was there when this happened. So he's running, going through all the bamboo. And this giant piece of bamboo just goes straight through his bicep. It's just like,
Damn.
yeah. Oh, and it impales him. Honestly, it impales him. And I don't know if there's any footage out there of his arm, but you can see his arm. And I mean, it's like freaking giant, right? But he's got a big black, purple, blue bruise where it went into his arm. And he just like pulls this thing out. Like just go... carries on. Yeah. So you might want to look there, Gabe, see if there's any footage of his arm. But I mean, just like got on with it, didn't care. And we were like, dude, you got a hole in your arm. So he could have gone, listen, guys, I got to go. Like no one would have said, oh, you know, you would.
You're a bitch.
You know, they would have
Come on.
gone, yeah. They would say, okay, you got stabbed with bamboo. It's gone through your arm. You should probably go to hospital, but he didn't, and he carried on shooting.
Wow.
I remember that like super vividly because he also had this. He had a piece of not pipe, but it was like a stick, a wooden dowel, and it had a lot of string on, and at the bottom was a 25-pound weight. I think it was 25 pounds, and he just would turn it like this. Let it go back down again and turn like this in between scenes. Like he'd just be working his arms.
Trying to fill
all
that
the
whole
time.
muscle. Jeez.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. And
I couldn't find the bicep thing, but I did find a British tabloid of you as a pop star in the late 90s.
Even better. Even better.
look at that handsome man. Oh, youth.
If you could go talk, we'll
Right?
get right back to the movie. I don't want to derail. I do have a tendency to derail sometimes.
No, derail it.
If you could jump into a time machine,
Mm-hmm.
and you would have clothes when you got to the other time, not like the Terminator, butt naked. If you could
Right.
jump on a time machine wearing what you're wearing now and meet this Matthew,
Mm-hmm.
what would you tell him?
Nothing.
You have 15 seconds. You got to come back here with me and Jericho. What would you tell him?
Oh my gosh, 15 seconds.
14, 13.
I would say go and kiss your grandmother and your grandfather.
Wow. All right.
I wouldn't tell
awesome.
them anything about my life because everything is, you become a sum of who you are, and anything that you might change, I might not have my kids and not have my wife. So I wouldn't change anything at all. Even like I say, you got to be grateful for the hard times as well.
Oh yeah.
So I'd like to think that I'm exactly where I'm meant to be.
Tell them wrap it up.
Wow. Okay. That was very thoughtful. Very thoughtful.
You give me these big philosophical questions, dude. I'll be like, oh, okay, bet on so and so in the Super Bowl final, or
Really
I'll be
quick.
like, here's the almanac. Take the almanac. Yeah.
All right.
Put on a rubber. That's what I tell young me. But this right here is because what he's doing. He steps on the landmine, boom, he like flips in the air, lands, his leg is fucking hamburger. And they say, take off his boot. And Paul, the missionary guy, the lead guy, he says, no. He's a doctor. He says, no. Give me your knife. So basically his boot, because of the heat from the explosion, is like fused into the skin on his leg.
Ugh.
And so they give him something to bite down on because they can't be screaming because they're going to know where he is. And I was like, dude, the pain must be off the charts. There's immeasurable pain. The doctor gives you that little thing with this little smiley face, and it says, well, how do you feel? And it goes from smile to, I'm sure his is can't even measure, but he also has to be quiet while this dude is cutting the boot away from his skin. That's why they're covering his mouth. And dude, just the pain, just, throbbing, probably piercing, making him probably want to throw up. But hey, got to be quiet because, there's about 100 dudes with dogs and guns who are up our ass. And he tells them, make a stretcher. So they make a stretcher to carry him on, and they just keep humping.
Because they're headed back to the river to get to the boat. That's the race. The mercenary team and the missionaries are headed. The other three, Matthew and then Sarah, is it Sarah, right? And then Rambo.
Yeah.
They've gone kind of a little bit different direction to catch up, but they were behind from the village.
Because Lewis, remember, he said, hey, 15 minutes of they all synchronize their watches. They're like, fuck it. He knew he made his choice. And so that's why they're split up, because Lewis was sticking with the plan And Rambo's like, it can't leave Sarah. You know, that's
Right.
his, I don't know how to explain it, but that's
He
the
felt
whole
very
reason.
responsible for her.
Yeah, that's the whole reason he's there, is her. And there's no way that he is going to leave her behind with those animals at that damn camp. No way. So he's like, whatever, I'm going to do what I have to do. Schoolboy stays behind, luckily, because you pick off those 3-4 dudes at the gate when they were taken off. And answer me this, was there, because I thought for a second you had a totally different rifle, because I thought I saw a suppressor on the rifle that you use, and there's no
Yes.
way you can put a suppressor on a Barrett.
No, you can.
You can.
Yeah,
Ooh.
you can. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And
shit.
so, yeah. So, but I mean, not that it's going to make much difference, but yes, there was it was suppressed for whatever, whatever it's worth, with the Barrett 50 cal. So that Barrett was built for me. It was the first
Okay.
short-barreled Barrett that they had. Now they have them, but that was particularly built for me. So yeah, well spotted. It was swapped out. The
Okay.
suppressor was meant to swap. I mean, it'd still be like kaboom. And by the way, you said earlier on about me shooting that off while Sly was there. I mean, I did shoot off. So you have different fills of blanks when you're doing a movie. You can have like a quarter load, a half load, or whatever. And I tried to have the maximum that I could, because you want to feel what the gun's like. And so there was one incident, and I thought, oh no. So we had our main armorer, and he had an assistant. It was a Thai assistant, and he passed over the Barrett to me in between me and Sly. I can remember exactly where I was when this happened. So I was standing here. Sly was to my right. There was a tree next to me. He comes around like that, and he's got his finger on the trigger.
Oof.
Oof.
And he goes,
No.
boom!
No.
Oh, yeah, like right in between me and Sly, right? And I'm like, oh, he's done. Like, that's over. Shouldn't have his finger
Dude.
on the trigger. Should have been on. It shouldn't have been a
Oh.
load in the gun anyway. And I thought, oh, he's gone. He's gone. But Sly didn't fire him. He didn't fire him. He just, I think he had a talking to. Kent was like this, like Sly's armor was like, oh no.
Oh,
If it
my
wasn't
goodness.
me, if it wasn't me talking, I'd make an Alec Baldwin joke. I will refrain from that.
Yes.
I will not go there.
Yeah.
That
For those
is-
of you wondering, this is what you put in a
50
Barrett 50 cal. It is a carrot,
BMG.
essentially.
50 cal BMG.
Yeah.
I've shot a Barrett 50, and yeah, those things they're humongous. There's nothing man-made that can withstand that 50 cal. It'll take out an airplane. It can go with the right ammunition. It can go through a vehicle, an engine block.
That's what it's meant to do, right? I mean, it's actually meant to take out the engine blocks of cars. Like it's meant to,
and it'll
it's
crack
not
it
really
in
meant
half.
to be.
They'll crack it in half like a walnut, no problem. I have
And that's Andre the Giant's hand, by the way. That's a huge hand.
And I have a quick story about somebody doing something stupid with a gun. So it was my bachelor party, and we had a party bus, and we're going to the shooting range. Then we're going to go to a steakhouse. Then we're going to go get some drinks and party, right? And side note, if the general public finds out that it's your bachelor party, their mission is to get you completely wasted. So we get on the bus, and we tell the party bus driver where we're going. And he starts telling us, oh, man, can I shoot with you guys? Yeah, man. You pay your way. Yeah, you can shoot with us. We're going to be sitting in the bus waiting for us anyway. So it's this indoor range called Markley's in Watsonville, California. I've been there before. And so we go there, and he's telling, oh, man, I was in the Air Force, and I was military police, and I shot this, and I shot that. And at the time when he was in, the sidearm for the military was a Beretta M92. The same gun that Riggs had in Lethal Weapon. So, man, I did this and I went there and I blah, 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 talking all this shit. And so, as we all know, the ones who really did it, they don't talk about it. They don't brag about it. They don't have to. So, telling us all this shit, we're like, yeah. I was in the military. My buddy was in the Marines. So we're like, yeah, whatever, right? So we get there, and they had a Beretta M92. He's like, oh, man, I'm going to shoot that. That's the one, he's John Wick with this thing, right? So he gets his own lane, and we're standing there. My buddy is standing back. My buddy who is the former Marine, he's standing back, and he's filming everybody shooting. and he sees the party bus driver having a problem with his gun. It's jammed. So being who he is, you know, Delta Force, Navy SEAL, Airborne Ranger, Air Parachute, and he's all of these things, like Swick boat driver and everything, according to him. And so the first thing you do when you have a jam, even my 12-year-old daughter knows this. You drop the magazine, you turn the gun upside down, and you rack the slide, and that should get rid of the jammed round, right? No. Rambo here thought he should look down the barrel of the gun.
No.
Hold on. No. I don't believe you anymore. This is like Looney Tunes.
I wouldn't lie to you guys. I'll lie to everybody else.
He looked into the front of the gun.
I would lie to anybody else, but I will not lie to you guys. This fool goes to look. He's going to look down the barrel of the gun. Still has his finger on the trigger.
Oh no.
And the gun goes off and it shoots into the ceiling. And it almost blew his face off. And I remember the first thing I thought was, man, you're going to ruin my damn bachelor party. We have the police here. We have to get another driver. And so my buddy got it on camera. And so from there, and we got done, from the shooting range to the steakhouse, we are watching this video, laughing our asses off over and over again. He's looking in the rearview mirror. What are you guys laughing at? And we didn't even tell him we were laughing our asses off. But dude, he almost shot himself in the face.
Dude, that gives me anxiety. Honestly, like, oh man.
He almost shot himself in the face.
How?
I don't know. I thought they only did that in cartoons.
You don't point a gun at anything you're not gonna shoot.
I don't know what he was thinking.
I remember my kids were little. I took them in the backyard with just a pellet gun, just a BB gun, and let them shoot some stuff. I supervised, I held it, and I told them, they were like little kids, 7 and 9, something like that.
Day one.
I told them a gun is always loaded. I don't know how. I don't know why. It's always loaded. Just assume that it is loaded. You take the magazine out, you rack it, it's still loaded magically.
Yep.
That's what I told him. It's just don't point it at anyone. Don't do that. He looked in the barrel.
He was going to look down the barrel, and it went off like probably here, right in front of his face, into the ceiling like a jackass. Yep. They're out there.
Guy.
So for that guy to have his finger on the trigger and the gun goes off like that between you guys, that's like you said, that was it. He probably was going to go, you know, in your mind, he's going straight to the trailer, grabbing his bag, and he's on the first thing smoking back to America. But luckily, Stallone took some mercy on him. But yeah, I bet he got a good tongue lashing from his boss after that.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, look, this guy, you know, he was a Thai guy. You know, I don't know if they're around weapons a lot. You know, it was a mistake. I mean, thank goodness the gun was facing up, like it was facing directly up, and that's a big gun. I think what he did was he was like passing it over like this. I can't remember, because all I remember is going kaboom, and me going, somebody's gonna get their asses handed to them. That's not good.
This is your last job. You're out of here for sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
So anyway, that was an interesting experience.
Some bitch, and it could have blew out your eardrum.
Yeah, it's like super, super loud. I mean, if you would have had it lower, especially when there was like, you know, the muzzle flash comes out the side of that thing. It was actually the beginning of this end sequence. That's when it was, when he was giving it to me, because I was separate with Julie. So we were up at the top of the ridge. So that was what we're about to do. We're about to, and by the way, you guys will love this. I'm not going to preempt kind of what happens here, but Terry Shepard, I don't know if you know who Terry Shepard is. He did Hollywood Weapons. He's an amazing guy. You should have him on the show. Really, really great guy. He calls me up and he goes, "Hey, do you want to recreate that shot of when you blow the guy's head off?" I was like, yeah.
Yep.
So I've got the bullets here. I shot 2 into a you know, a ballistics gel head. Yeah.
That's messy.
I didn't miss. Let's put it like that. I didn't miss.
That's messy.
Yeah. But it was kind of cool to do it for, you know, kind of for real, for practice for real. But I got to do it afterwards. Yeah, the Barrett, and it was actually, I think they got me the one that I actually had there, because it was the actual one that I reshot with it, because I think it's an ISS, which is the firearms guys. But you know, it's funny. You know, you brought up the Baldwin situation. I think that I doubt very much whether they'll use because there's a way now you can use guns that they're special fitted guns that rack, and you know they move, and the CGI is so good. I don't think that they'll be using real guns on set anymore.
Yeah.
I
And
think
Brandon Lee,
those
we
days are
talked
over.
about the Crow earlier. That's
Brandon
how Brandon Lee died.
Yeah.
You know, the got shot in his spine and it killed him. I remember that the
I
night
remember it. Yeah.
when he died. It was nighttime. It was myself, my mom, my dad. I think my older brother was spending the night at a friend's house or something. We were just us three. And I remember hearing the news, and we sat there in the room, no TV on or nothing, just kind of sitting there thinking about it. It was so strange.
It was a
Young-
weird one, wasn't it? It was really
It was-
weird. That one was really weird because he'd just done The Crow, right? And it become you're looking at this guy's going to be a star.
He's going to be a huge
The
star.
looks,
He's got the look.
the martial
He
arts.
could act. He was charming.
Yeah,
You know.
good looking guy.
Yeah.
That was crazy. And we just sat there for a few minutes in silence, you know, hearing the hum of the light, you know, the fluorescent light bulb. Just, wow, that was such a loss, man. And it was for such a stupid reason. I think that was part of it too. Like, you know, it wasn't a plane crash or something like that. It was just so stupid. And the guy who played Fun Boy, that really fucked him up too. I don't think he acted anymore. The guy who's in that scene when they had that. And I think, you know, obviously in this one, Showdown in Little Tokyo, Dolph
One of my
Lundgren was a star.
all-time favorite 90s action movie. This is a top 3 for me, 90s
But
action movie.
I think Brandon was the star because obviously his mark and Dolph Lundgren, he's a black belt, and I think in a couple different styles. So he got it.
He's
has
the
his
real
shit down
deal.
too.
He's
But
the real deal.
Brandon Lee was obviously just so effortless. I mean, his father was the greatest movie martial artist in world history.
Yeah.
But Brandon Lee was just so effortless with his martial arts. He was so good. It's so cool. No matter what it is, it's cool to watch somebody do something effortlessly. Something they're so good at and they're so smooth and so fluid. And man, I think Brandon Lee was the star of that movie. He really was. What a
I
great
think that's why it's difficult to explain to people, you know, why it was so weird. Because it's funny when you said that, I was in my head, I was like, it was a strange thing because he'd just come onto the scene, really had a couple of movies, but you know, The Crow obviously was such a cool film, and he carried it, right? He just came in and carried it, and you're like, this is Bruce Lee's son, and he's a badass, and he's good looking, and he can act, and you know, and then killed on set by a gun. Like, what? I mean, it just reverberated. It's like when John Ritter died,
Right.
Yeah, on the set of 8 Simple Rules. Yeah,
he had a aortic tear, and everyone was like, what? And that like sent shockwaves through the acting industry as well. Like, people were like, oh, if you feel like you've got something wrong in your chest here, like you better go and get checked out, because they were worried that would happen. So there's a couple of like strange moments like that where people died, and you kind of like, that's just, you know what I mean? I mean, it's just a moment. You know what I mean? It's like a moment, and I can't really explain it. But it's funny you said strange, because that's the way I felt about it at the time. It was
like,
What year was that? 94 when that
94,
happened?
yeah.
Was
94,
that also the year Kurt Cobain shot himself, right?
Yep.
I remember, yeah, those two happened. I think I was a sophomore in high school, and it really bothered me. I loved Nirvana so much. And I remember in my art class, I did this big portrait of Kurt Cobain afterwards and all that. But yeah, it was.
But even, you know, Kurt Cobain's suicide, it was different. It was just different because I don't know. It could be, I think, again, because Brandon Lee died because of negligence. It was somebody else's poor decision making that took him away. And another one was Aaliyah. I was 20 years old, and I heard about. I was over at a friend's house. We were partying, and someone's like, Aaliyah died. I was like, what? Aaliyah died? And that was another one that was just like, oh shit. Even, you know, you have bigger stars, Michael Jackson, Prince, when they died. Those were crazy too. But man, those Brandon Lee, Aaliyah, those just hit me different. you know, and
I
we
think
don't
it's
know these
because
people.
they were on their way. I mean, even though Aaliyah had massive hits, I remember because she did that Romeo and Juliet, wasn't it?
Romeo Must Die.
Romeo Must
with Jet
Die
Li, yeah.
with Jet Li, and Jet Li had just come over, and I mean, I just thought she was the cutest thing. Like, you know, I mean, in that video, she's like smoking hot, and also Left Eye from
Yeah.
TLC. That was another one. You kind of like, hang on, Aaliyah died in a plane crash. Like, that's really weird. How does that happen in this day and age? Brandon Lee gets shot in some accident on set. How does that happen? And then I think Left Eye died in a car accident.
Yeah,
Right.
Honduras.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, even the Paul Walker thing was kind of like,
Yeah.
what? Like,
And
like
again,
what-
that was his friend. It's because of his friend's poor decision making that Paul Walker was taken away. It's just, yeah, those hit a little bit different, you know, than some of the other celebrity deaths that, you know, we unfortunately have to live through. But
The-
yeah, you
the
and
just
only
think
one-
we didn't have like social media as well, so I think it was like a
Mm.
massive event, you know. Like, but like you said, it was kind of like, it wasn't like Michael Jackson dying, because like Michael Jackson dying, you know, I mean, you grew up with him, right? Like, you grew up with him in your life, and so he's like an ever present. Like, for me, when the Queen, I know this is a weird segue, but for me, when the Queen died, it was really weird, right?
Mhm.
Because she'd just been this solid person that had always been in my life. Right, and I'm sure the Canadians on here would say, like, you know, it's you know, it's a strange, it was a strange thing, but yeah, those tragedies back then were, yeah, it was a weird time. Anyway,
another one, Princess Di. I remember
That
where
was
I
a big
was. I remember where I was. We were at visiting friends in Antioch, California, and we're all together in the living room, and it just came across the TV that she died, and that was another one where everybody was just blown away. Like, Princess Di, she was so kind and beautiful, and wow, that one really kicked us in the nuts too, man. That
The
one,
only
that was
one,
tough.
the only one that really upset me. I mean, it's sad when anyone dies. When I would hear a celebrity who died, it's like, that's sad for them and their family. But I didn't know these people. But I remember waking up, and you get on Twitter or whatever, you get on the news, and I saw that Kobe had died, and I saw
Yeah.
it, and I just threw my phone, because I always felt so connected to Kobe. We're the same age. I'm like 2 weeks older than him. We graduated high school at the same time. Massive Kobe fan. Just, I think he's the GOAT in basketball besides Jordan. And for all you LeBron lovers, guy's a crybaby, you know. But that was like the celebrity death besides Kurt Cobain that really upset me, was the Kobe one, man. That just, I love Kobe so much, and that was just terrible. Real quick, segue out of this, unless one of you guys had another one.
Let's lift us. No, we're
This
done
is
with
kind
the
of a
death.
yeah,
sad
we're gonna
topic.
finish the movie.
Rest
So,
in peace to all those great people. But Chris Lash, you say?
Lash.
Yes.
Lash. Chris Barrett is a buddy of mine. There's a rubber version of Matthew's gun that was made for stunts that the Barretts have in their office. They want Marsden to sign it.
There you go, Chris. You could have texted me that. Okay, I'll go and do it. No, I mean, we had one of them. One of them Sly kept as well. I think Sly's got one of them in his office.
Matthew, I got a Barrett in my office. Will you come and sign it for me?
But you know, the funny thing is the rubber, like, people go, oh, did you have a fake gun as well? Like, I used it maybe 3 times in the film, and it's just as heavy. So it didn't make any difference. You know, it really didn't. It didn't make any difference.
Actually, Matthew, I got a bunch of rubbers in my office. If you
Yeah.
want to sign
Matt, every time you say that, man, I'm just every time you say the rubber,
You
I'm
guys,
just like
Matthew, I heard you got 9 kids. I heard you could use some rubbers. You could
yeah, I don't know what they are. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, no, because I mean, Matt, we cannot explain to you how ingrained in the American lexicon what a rubber is. Like,
Do you know what?
It means nothing else to us. It only means
right.
I can tell you guys, you smutty brains. But so this is no joke. When I was in my in England, in England, you call it like an infant school, which is like from 5. So you're like from 5 years old. So there's like kindergarten up, and I remember I was like 7, and we had I'll never forget it. It was a substitute teacher from Michigan. Randomly, I have no idea how he ended up at my school. And rubbers in England are these things.
Uh-uh.
Oh, I thought they were going to be like rain boots or something like that.
No.
Put your rubbers on before you go
That
outside.
is a rubber.
Okay.
Because you know why? And you guys are gonna rub the word
No,
out.
you erase with it. It's an eraser.
It's an eraser. Because if you go that way with rubber, like you rub something, like there's a rubbing one out. That's also
I know, but that's a
jerking off.
one of my friends goes, "Hey Matt, pass me the rubber," and the teacher lost his mind.
Yeah.
He was like, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?"
What
And
are
we're
you little kids doing over there?
Rubber. It's a rubber. Like you rub out your mistakes. You rub it. It's the same thing like fanny, right? So fanny means your front bottom in England. If you're
That
a
means
woman.
your butt. Here it's a playful way to say your butt.
It means your front bottom if you're a woman.
But in America, you would say that to a kid, like here, let me wipe your fanny or whatever, like that.
Right.
Yeah, that would mean wipe your
playful.
That would
butt.
mean wipe your lady parts.
Your clam. Yeah, but here it's an innocent like fanny. It's a playful word, but to you guys, it's
it's bad, like fanny pack. You're like,
what? But same thing with
Fanny
rubber. It means there's only one way to use rubber in the States, and that means a prophylactic.
Teacher, my rubber keeps breaking every time I use it.
When I get my pencil and I try and use my pencil, my rubber doesn't work. I don't know what's going on.
Why are you putting rubbers on your pencils, man?
Chris wants you to sign his rubbers. There you go.
But
we could all sign Chris's rubbers.
Not used ones though. No used rubbers. You got to dump those out before you sign them.
Yeah.
You have a very filthy.
We've gone. I don't know where I am now. I'm kind of like I'm a little bit triggered right now by this discussion. A little bit triggered.
No.
Well, no rubbers in Rambo 4.
I've got to tell you this as well because I've got to clear this up before we get here, right? So, when I'm in the towers, right, earlier on, and I'm shooting the guys out, like killing the guys in the towers, the people in the watchtowers. That was shot. Yeah, that scene that was shot on the very, very last day of production, and we had to leave the next day, right? Like I could not stay one more day in production. So it's. I remember it was like 4 a.m. It was still dark, and they came up to me and they went, "Matt, listen, you got to leave, right? Because you got to get on a plane at like whatever time it was. We were leaving the next day." And I was like, "Okay," but we hadn't done the close-up. This is again like the second unit, right? Like we hadn't done the close-up of me pulling the trigger.
This shot here?
There's a shot. Yeah, there's a shot just before that though. There's a close-up on my finger.
Okay.
Pulling the trigger.
I don't have it, but okay.
Right. So it's a squeeze, right? As a sniper, it's a squeeze. And so my friend Brian Orley, who's my stunt guy, and he was actually Lewis's stunt guy as well. But he did this.
Oh, no.
And every single sniper has pulled that up. And you can tell it's not my finger. Brian's got thicker fingers than me. And I'm like, it wasn't me. It wasn't me, all right? I know squeeze, no. So anyway, it wasn't me. I'm just saying it.
All right.
I'm just
putting
it
what your
out
fingers look like. I know your fingers, Matt. That was your finger.
Oh,
I've studied your fingers.
Right.
This is not good.
No, it is not. It is very unhealthy. But yeah, that scene is one of my favorites when you're tagging those dudes with the 50s. And then this scene at the end, the disgusting pig monster piece of shit General Tent has you guys lined up, beating the hell out of you with the stick. He takes the stick. It's like a pretty, probably it's, I don't know, maybe a half-inch, an inch in diameter. It's a real thick stick.
Yeah.
And he stabs it into Lewis's wound because he's cussing out, "You fucking bastard, blah, blah, blah." And he takes it and digs it into his wound. Oh my goodness.
He calls him a lady boy, actually.
Yeah, he goes, "Lady."
I'm not going to say the other word, but he says you're a lady boy.
Yeah.
By the way, here's another little bit of trivia about him, about the guy who played Tint. He hated the Burmese. Like he was Burmese, but he hated the junta so badly.
Wow.
Like so badly. It was really difficult because his family had been brutalized by them. So when he brought that, imagine playing a character where they've really brutalized your family and you're playing this evil character. So there's a part where he goes, and he goes, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you see it.
I
that is something in Burmese, which is like a curse word. And so he's channeling that. That's why he's so good, because he hates them. He hates them so badly. So he wanted to portray them as the most evil people in the world.
Oh, he did that.
And he did a great job.
He did.
And another one. Oh, go ahead, Gabe.
Oh, just plain and simple truth says, by the way, we all appreciate you guys taking the time to share this with us. We appreciate you guys being here. Hit the like and share this out so more people can learn all this fun, amazing stuff that Matthew was sharing with us behind the scenes. One of the best guests we've ever had on the show. He's been around here a lot lately. We really love it. Thank you, Matthew. And then think about what you think about. Don't they have a funny name for cigarettes?
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Again, say that on here because YouTube will get mad.
Again, another word in America that doesn't mean anything else. There's no two things are that word. There's only one thing we've described.
Well, in England, there's that, and the longer version of it, because you're looking at 1, 2, 3 letters.
You mean a baguette?
Yeah, it's like a baguette, right? It sounds like a baguette, but there's a meal that you have which is that and peas.
Oh, right. What is that made of?
What?
I can't say it, can I? I can type it.
You can't. We'll get in trouble.
Yeah.
But can you type it in the private chat?
I'll show you.
I'm
I'll show you this. I can do this because
I'm 100% clear on this.
Real food product. This is real food.
Oh, what?
Don't say it, but this is a real product, so we're not being bad.
Matt, what the fuck is going on in the UK? What?
Yes. Yeah, it's kind of funny when you say you've had them for lunch or you've had them for dinner.
Don't you dare read that.
Not
you
reading
can buy
it.
that. Go buy that at the Aldi. Now, Matthew, what is the most amount of baguettes that you've eaten at once?
Oh yeah,
Oh my goodness!
Those things are actually pretty darn good. I have to say.
I am stuffed. I couldn't possibly have another baguette.
How many of these?
You don't know the baguette.
How many of these baguettes could you fit in your mouth at once, Jericho?
Put those in your mouth.
Matt, what the fuck is going on here?
I'm just telling you. You can put your baguettes in your fanny pack, and it's all bad.
Do you use rubbers when you eat the baguettes?
No, you might want to.
Oh my goodness, UK.
Here's a great one, Matthew. Do you speak any Spanish? Now this is Spanish slang.
Okay.
Do you know what a pito is in Spanish?
I have no idea what that is.
Oh boy, it's what the baguettes use.
A pito is a penis. It's Spanish slang. So you're gonna go get a bag of pitos and eat them. So,
but are you a baguette if you eat a bag of pitos?
Yeah. So,
wow.
Every time I see pitos at the store, I snap a picture, send it to Jericho.
Do you know what? I got to tell you this. We've gone from like talking about the movie to talk about dead people to talk about this. It's like we're all over the place. Like, we're not even drinking. I mean, this is like kind of impressive.
We run the gamut here.
That's right.
We run the gamut.
Well, we talk about it constantly.
But I didn't think we'd be talking about those and food. That is amazing. I couldn't eat those. I couldn't. I just.
Oh, last time we were here, we were talking about British food, and it gets a bad rap.
You went to
the Shakespeare pub the day after you went on the show, and it was delightful. The food was really good. I got the Lancashire hot pot. Is that what it's called?
Hot pot, yeah. Lancashire.
It was big chunks of beef in a nice brown gravy with onions. Had scalloped potatoes and cheese on top.
It's good, dude. It's good.
And then they give you an ungodly amount of delicious French fries, we call them, and then a pile of peas.
Chips.
Everything was French fries and peas. I don't know why, but
were the peas mushy or not?
No, they were whole, which is the way I like them. Mushy,
Yeah.
I like them whole. And
I don't like mushy
really
peas.
good thick brown gravy to dunk your chips in. It was delicious.
But Gabe, did you have the
baguette?
No. But you didn't have the steak and kidney pie that he was referring to last
time.
time.
I was kind of disappointed.
I got to level up in my Britishness to do that.
Look, I'll guarantee you'll like it. So that's your thing for the next time I'm on the show. You got to go and have steak and kidney pie.
I might I might try. But yeah, my wife got is it a pasty or a pasty?
Pasty, Cornish pasty.
It was delicious. It's
Oh,
like
it's very good.
It was like
Very
a light,
good.
sort of like a flaky croissant dough, not croissant, but like a flaky dough stuffed with meat, onions, peas, carrots,
It's
big
good.
tub of gravy to dunk it in, and then more chips and more peas. Everything was chips and peas. I don't know.
But
Yeah.
why peas though? I mean, on a serious note, why?
I don't know. I don't like peas at all.
I love peas. Love them. Drown them in butter.
They're
too.
really annoying. They're like, you know, you got to like, how do you eat them? Especially, by the way, I got criticized for this online because on my little channel, I wanted to say, so one of the things that I had to learn when I was when I was first played in American is that you guys and people going, we don't do that, but they certainly don't do it in the UK. You take your knife and fork,
Mhm.
you cut your food,
Right.
and then you put your knife and fork down, and then you grab your fork and then you eat it. Why? Just 'cause
That's proper proper
it's not-
cotillion etiquette in America.
no,
It's
But we
America.
don't need the
No.
knife anymore. Once you cut your food up, what do you need the knife for?
you just keep it there because you're going to use it again in a minute.
Well,
and
here's
you
the
put that in your
rationale.
mouth, and
I actually took some etiquette courses when I was in high school. The rationale is I'm right-handed, so I cut and control the knife with my right hand,
Mhm.
set my knife down, and then use my fork with my right hand because I'm right-handed. So
Totally
everything is happening in the
inefficient.
right hand. So,
Totally inefficient and silly.
and you know, I do that to this day. I actually eat that proper way because that's what I did that stuff in high school. I learned about it. My mom actually went to.
You got to do it like that. You look. You get the fork right. There's your fork, and you put your fork in the food because you hold it, and then you cut it like that with your knife,
Mhm.
and then the rest of it goes away, and then you do this delicious food.
I don't know.
It's very simple.
I gotta say, the Shakespeare Pub in San Diego was delicious. A little pricey, but it was delicious. And I found on the menu, could you do this, Matthew? They had a
Okay.
challenge for like $50, 2 pounds of fish, 2 pounds of chips, peas, and something. If you could finish it in 45 minutes without getting up from the table, you get like a t-shirt and you don't have to pay for your meal or whatever.
I
They
could
had
probably
on
do
the
that.
menu.
I could probably do that.
So, but
But that's
it
a lot
was
of fish,
delicious.
though. I mean, it's mainly the chips that would be a lot because that's a lot of chips to eat.
Yeah, it is.
But fish and chips, good. You got to have your malt vinegar.
And
I'm
while-
getting hungry now.
Wait, what?
while
You
we
eat it
were
with
there-
vinegar?
Huh?
You eat it with vinegar?
Oh, yeah.
the-
You get malt vinegar and salt. If you don't have salt and vinegar on your chips, then that's not good.
Jericho,
You have to go.
just go with
and
it,
then-
dude. It's good. You take the French fry, the chips, and you put the vinegar. It's actually delicious.
It's
I
really
like-
good.
I like putting the chips in the gravy better. I prefer that beef gravy better.
You
But
can do all of that.
I got for an appetizer. I didn't know how many chips I was getting with my dinner. So for an appetizer, we got a basket of loaded chips that had sour cream and bacon and gravy and cheese. And we
Right.
ate all
Well,
that.
that's an American version. We don't
I
have
know,
it in the
yeah.
UK.
Yeah,
They-
it was-
what they will do, which is good, is you can get a bag of chips and they'll put curry sauce on it, and that's very good.
Well, I would definitely eat that before I eat pork baguettes. That's for sure. That's crazy. Vinegar. I mean, I would try it, but ketchup.
It's
is
good.
definitely
Trust
the-
me, it's really good. In fact, if you don't have chips with vinegar on, it's like pointless.
Well,
Malt vinegar.
is ketchup as big a condiment in the UK as it is here?
Yeah, it's pretty big. Only we call it tomato sauce over there. Don't call it ketchup.
I'm sorry,
Tomato
what, Matt?
sauce.
What do you call
Tomato
it?
sauce.
Jericho, would you pass me? Would you pass me the tomato sauce?
There
And
you go.
Jericho, would you please pass me a rubber and a baguette?
No, you get your own rubbers. That's rule number one. You get your own rubbers.
Look at this.
Hey,
Look at
don't
the
be touching my rubbers.
Yeah,
belligerence
definitely not.
in the chat. Nothing but disrespect. How dare you? He says, British food. What about British teeth? How dare you? How dare you say that to my guest?
Yeah,
How
Matt's
dare
good to
you?
go. Matt got
Now
some
look
good
at Matt.
choppers in there.
Matt has a beautiful smile.
And I've never had anything done. I mean, obviously I got Adam Phil, but I didn't have braces or anything
He
like that.
did. He did have a tooth knocked out on the set of
I did.
Transformers.
Sure did.
I did. Yeah, that's my fault.
I
See,
wanted
down
to
there.
apologize.
See, that's the guy. I knew it. I'm going to tell that guy.
Matthew, I want you to know I was drinking at the time when that happened, and I'm very sorry.
I am Optimus Prime.
Roll out.
Yeah.
Man, I'm learning a lot about UK cuisine from you, Matt, and I appreciate it. Because
Yeah, listen, someone just said there, tuna and cucumber sandwich. Very good. Yeah.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Mr.
Yeah.
Marsden? A
Tuna and
what and
cucumber
what sandwich?
Tuna, or as we call it, tuna and cucumber sandwich. Yeah. And sometimes they'll have like just cucumber sandwiches, which is weird. but tuna and or as you said, tuna.
But do you
yeah.
guys do just open the can of tuna, or do you do the mayonnaise? And all
The
that kind of
mayonnaise.
stuff?
You put you mix it up with the mayonnaise, and then you put like the cucumber in there.
You don't put.
But you know what they
chips?
do? They will do.
Do
And I used to have this as a kid. Chips sandwiches, like both
Yeah.
French fry sandwiches
Doesn't
and
make
chip
sense.
sandwiches.
Wait a minute, just bread and potato chips? Or
Bread
fries?
and butter and potato chips, and bread and butter and fries. They'll do both.
What?
Yeah, try it.
Now I'll
Good.
put chips on a tuna sandwich. That's a must. You got to throw
Yeah.
potato chips on your tuna sandwich.
That's the same thing. If you have like cheese and onion,
So
chips
have you
and-
eaten this, Matthew? You're saying you've eaten this?
that's it.
Wait a-
That's a French fry sandwich. That's it.
Matt,
It's like chip sandwich.
Matthew, this
You're-
is
As they call it,
terrible.
a chip butty.
But
chip butty.
you're saying all these crazy sandwiches so nonchalant. Butter.
I know it's
Boy,
weird.
I had a
Yeah.
rubber. Me mom.
It's really
used to
funny,
make
though.
The best rubber sandwiches with mushy peas.
Yeah, they were a bit
Wait.
chewy. But no, look, I mean, honestly, it's like it's weird now. Now you're talking about it because I've been in America for 23 years and I haven't done any of
Look
this,
at
for
this.
years and
This
years
makes
and years.
no sense.
What the fuck is that?
American minds cannot comprehend this.
You're just saying this with such a nonchalant.
I know,
in your
it's kind of
voice.
weird.
This
It
is
is kind of
crazy.
weird.
So you would take bread? Is the bread toasted on these French
No,
fry sandwiches?
no.
So 2 slices of Wonder Bread, some
Yeah.
butter, and French fries,
Yeah.
and
And
that's
Maybe a
it.
bit of
Apparently,
mayonnaise
and
on it.
And
It is
apparently
like
an
carb on
entire
carb, like
bottle-
Plain and Simple Truth said. It is carb on carb. It is. That's funny, actually.
that's not the
really
issue.
Funny.
That is not the issue, Matt.
It's
the carb
really
on
funny.
carb is not the issue. Where's the meat?
Yeah, no, it's a carb heavy diet. Clearly,
I'm going to send you this, Jericho.
Goodness gracious.
Best of British sandwiches.
No, don't send that to me.
they do.
I've
They'll
had
do a
enough.
prawn and as you would call it, shrimp and cucumber sandwich.
What?
Yeah. Have you? Can you see if you can pull that up?
What is it?
Shrimp. It's called a prawn and cucumber sandwich
What the fuck, man?
because they don't. You know, you call them shrimps and then prawns. Like shrimps are like. I got it confused now. It's been so long.
but
since I
again,
thought about it.
Matt,
We call
that's
them
not
prawns.
the issue. What this?
Matthew, this is
Issue.
gross. This is
There you
gross.
go. Look.
Nobody
So
wants this. Dude, nobody
fucking
wants this.
gross.
Look at this monster. Whoever did this is a monster. Eggs with shrimp with cucumbers. Get out of
That
here.
is nice. Look, there you
Matt.
go. Prawn and cucumber sandwich.
If
It's very good.
somebody brings a shrimp and cucumber sandwich to me in a restaurant, we're rolling on the floor fighting in 2 seconds.
Boy, bro,
Because
you
what
want a prawn and cucumber?
Shrimps
I
are
bet you
small
guys.
prawns. They're small.
Hell,
That's
That's-
why they call them a shrimp.
Holy hell,
Matthew,
Mr.
please-
Marsden.
Honestly, that is
please-
good, though. That is good.
please
I'm
tell
telling
me-
you, it's good. It
Please
is
tell
good.
me, Matthew, that you guys don't call them cucumbers and you have some little whimsical name. What do you really call them?
You know what? No, because you got. I'll tell you what we do have. You guys call what is it now?
No, you're one of us, Matt. Don't you say you guys. You are one of
okay.
us.
Zucchini.
We
Zucchini is
Okay.
a courgette.
A what?
courgette.
A courgette. And an
Why?
eggplant is an aubergine.
An aubergine. Now that's French. I do know that word.
Yeah.
Is it chip butty?
What the fuck?
I see Chip Buddy. Look, yeah.
Boy,
Chip Buddy.
Jericho. Me wife, she made us chip butties.
That is not my buddy. I
Yes,
don't
it-
want any parts of that.
It's not your
sandwich.
waistlines, buddy. That's for sure. I can tell you
Matthew,
that.
now that's a British sandwich. Here's an American sandwich. Butter,
Ah, there you
bacon, and bread.
Oh yeah, look at that. By the way, I do have to say this: that
Oh.
American bacon is way better than British bacon. Like I do.
What
not
is British
like-
bacon?
It's like back bacon. They call it. It's kind of like I don't know what you call it.
Does it
here.
look like
You
American
can look
bacon?
it up. Look it up. No, it doesn't
I'm
look
looking
anything
for it.
like.
Oh, this is
Nothing like.
trash. Trash. No wonder we beat
There you go.
guys.
That's
No
like
wonder-
ham.
No wonder this is actually what 1776 was actually about.
Hey, listen,
That's what
it's worth fighting over because I got to tell you,
Look at this.
American
And
bacon.
It wasn't the
is-
taxes.
There's
It wasn't the taxes. They showed up with a bunch of cucumber and shrimp sandwiches, and they were
Right.
like, "Fuck
Yeah.
this, we are fighting."
Yeah, and then the Canadians with their circle bacon. What is that? Get
That's
out of here.
ham. Canada, shut up. That's
What?
ham.
Look at this. What exactly is British bacon? That's what it says.
Yeah, I don't like it. Oh, there you go.
So what's your favorite? What you eating here, Jerk?
Oh man, you know what? I am actually. I'm having listen. I'm having a bit of like PTSD about this. Like, I want to go and make myself a chip butty. I do.
Hey, you know what, Matt? You should bust out the prawn and cucumber sandwiches for your kids, and they'll give it to you raw. They'll be like, Dad, what is this?
I know, but listen, they've got a Maltese mom, and so we have a rabbit, and the national dish in Malta is rabbit. And I keep telling them, if they don't look after the rabbit, we're going to eat it.
It's going to be on your plate.
It's going to be, you're going to be eating fluffy.
Right.
So,
Here's a little bit of Maltese rabbit.
Wow.
Yeah,
now that looks great.
Really good.
That looks great.
Now, my dad has a couple acres out in Colorado. He's had them for years. And he's always has a couple lambs. Occasionally he'll have a cow. And he'll slaughter them and sell the meat and all that once in a while.
Yeah.
And I have on more than one occasion eaten a lamb that was formerly a pet, and it didn't faze me at all.
Oh yeah, I did that all the time growing up. We had hogs and stuff.
Right.
And one day I'm feeding them, the next day, or actually probably a couple weeks later after we send it off to the butcher, yeah, it's on the plate. If my mom slid a shrimp and cucumber sandwich in front of me, I would think that they're about to deliver some bad.
Hey, don't be hating on it until you tried it. I'm just saying.
I would be like, are you guys about to get divorced? Why are you feeding this to us?
Luke literally says we should all eat a pito manwich.
No.
That would be a great name for a group.
That'd
be a great name for a group.
Wow. Every time we talk, Matt, I learn something new, and I'm honestly grateful for that.
Oh, I got to say, can I just say this? Shrapnel's saying I've never had Vegemite diesel, but I think I'll probably like it. Let me tell you this: Marmite and Vegemite is fantastic.
I bet I would like it.
No, Vegemite.
Listen, I like fermented things like kimchi, and a lot of my friends hate kimchi. Is it anywhere near that kind of funky flavors, or is it?
No. It's like have you had it?
It looks like black tar heroin, and it
does.
smells
It looks like black tar.
I've seen it. I've never tasted it.
It's really good.
I have a strange suspicion that I would like it. I think because it's weird.
It's very, very strong. Stuff, if you like strong stuff, you'll like it.
I like gorgonzola and blue cheese, and some people are like,
too,
like it's too much.
Yeah, no, you'll like it. You should get some. You know what you should do? For one of these sessions, right? Get a prawn sandwich, a steak and kidney pie, a sandwich with some Marmite on it, and eat it live. And I want to see your reactions.
I'll do it.
Bangers and mash. Bangers and mash are good.
Now
bangers and mash, yeah, I'm listening.
That looks delicious.
It is.
Potatoes, gravy, big sausages, big pito sausages,
and they got the smashed up, the smashed up potatoes.
I'm gonna take a stab at British slang. I could really tuck into that. Is that did I use tuck correctly?
Yeah, you tuck into that. Yeah.
So you guys call them smashed potatoes in England?
No, they're mashed potatoes, but those ones are more smashed because they've still got the skin on them. So normally the skin wouldn't be on them on mashed potatoes.
That looks delicious to me, and I love.
That's like a plate of dicks. It's like a dick plate.
Look up roast beef and Yorkshire pudding because that is really good.
Wow,
we've gone from Rambo to Gordon
Okay.
Ramsay.
So here we go. It looks nice. Now the Yorkshire pudding, I've had it
it's good.
in now, I don't know how authentic it is. I'm sure you've eaten there, Matthew, because you lived up in Hollywood. Matthew, you know the Lowry Steakhouse on like Wilcox or whatever, over near the Grove, near Cantor's.
Okay, yeah.
At Lowry's, they have Yorkshire pudding.
It's really good.
I ate it and it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. It was just bread. What's the big deal?
Yeah, it's like, but it's the gravy again. Like it's the gravy that you have with it. So what you'd normally do is you get something like if you get up in Yorkshire. So those are smaller. You call them something else here.
We call it distended anus in America.
they call it sphincter. No, that's like something else that you have because I was like, hang on a minute. I had it at a meal and I'm like, this is Yorkshire pudding, but you call it something else.
I don't know.
But what you do is like, so those are small ones. The best ones are when you get a giant Yorkshire pudding, like yay big, and they put the beef in it, and then you put gravy on it, and it is amazing.
Sounds delicious. You give me meat, bread, and gravy, or in potatoes.
It's good.
I'm there.
It's good. I'm
So
telling
you
you.
put the meat in the Yorkshire. You put the meat
I
in
think
the
it's
butthole.
like as a you
gravy.
put the meat in the hole. Oh my gosh, we have got.
okay. I see what I found some that look the way you're talking about. But
Oh boy.
This one's full of veggies. Just pretend that's all meat. Just pretend, right? Is this what you mean?
Yeah, that looks pretty good.
Hold on.
Put some roast beef in that bitch.
Oh, it's got Yorkshire puddings are similar to Dutch baby pancakes and to popovers.
Popover. That's what you call them in English.
Yeah.
In American English. Yeah.
In
Now,
American.
What about pot
Yeah,
roast? Is that a thing in England? 'Cause pot roast is.
No, they don't really call it that. It might be called something else. I'll tell you what is really good: beef Wellington.
I'd try that.
Oh, good.
I've seen it, never had it before.
Oh,
My mom can
so
make
good.
that. It's difficult to make. My mom can make it. and she
It's
makes it
hard to
pretty damn
make.
good. Yeah.
Because you got to wrap it in the dough and all that and cut it so it has a little design on it and stuff.
Right.
And I would try that definitely before the cucumber and shrimps.
And by the way, about Rambo, everybody else dies in this, and I'm the person that survives, and I'm really awesome. That's basically the end of the movie. There's a lot of blood.
The end.
Well, let's
The
talk
end.
about the end of this movie. So the bad guys catch all the mercenaries except Matthew, the girl, and Rambo, who are behind by 5 minutes. They catch them right on the shore when they're getting in the getaway boat. They're torturing them. They're beating them up. Rambo sneaks up behind the bad guy who's stationed in the Jeep on the top of the hill.
Holy hell.
And he gets a hold. Is this 50 caliber, this thing?
Yes, that's a 50 cal
50
shooting
caliber.
50 cal BMG, the carrots. And that's
Unlimited
exactly
ammo.
what would happen. That's
And he
exactly what would happen.
Right. He got
If you shot somebody that close with a 50 cal, that's exactly what would happen. It is
you have to see this movie because what happens in the next 5 to 10 minutes with this gun and then Matthew chipping in with the sniper BMG, it's unreal. You guys are melting people and blowing them into bits, and it's
but
righteous.
This is one of the part one of the
shit.
Yeah, and the dude's pulling up in the truck and he just Swiss cheeses all of them. You're talking dudes blown in half, arms, legs. But this is one of the parts that was in the commercial for the previews, is the part where, because schoolboy, he's up on the hill with Sarah and he looks down there, sees his team getting beat up, but then he looks over and sees a guy sitting in that Jeep with the 50. So he can't just start knocking down these soldiers who are hitting his boys, because then this guy to his left or right, wherever he was, would just spray them and then it's over. So she says, do something. And schoolboy says, there's nothing we can do. Like, the guy's over there with a 50. If I shoot, we're both dead. And then the guy is standing in the truck behind the gun, and then you see Rambo just appear behind him. And he takes that big old knife that he made, lobs that dude's head off, because there's a guy standing in the back of the Jeep on the gun, and then there's a guy in the driver's seat. The guy standing on the gun gets his head taken off immediately, and then Rambo takes the 50 cal, aims it at the dude, and the barrel is almost touching the guy. It's like inches from his face. Oh, boom, boom, just blood and ass everywhere. This dude is gone.
And then it's on, right? It's on. It doesn't stop.
And he reloads. He reloads. He gets another box of ammo, reloads, and just boom, 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 boom. Just takes these dudes out. It's beautiful.
Turns these guys into Yorkshire pudding for sure.
Yes.
Yeah,
and then,
definitely.
And then you have that moment you mentioned earlier where the missionary, the doctor, he's a total pacifist. And he tells him after they shoot those pirates in the beginning, he lets them off the boat and he says, I'm going to report this. I have to tell somebody about this, despite the fact that they were about to murder you all. He goes, I have to report this. So this guy's a super pacifist. He doesn't want to hurt anybody. No one's life deserves to be taken. Or he even says, like, nobody deserves to die or something. Like, nobody should be killed. He says a line like that, like, nobody deserves to die. And then in this part, once he sees the savagery up close, he sees General Tent shoot one of the missionaries in the back. He shoots him in the back with his pistol, and then he moves on to try to shoot other ones. And then pretty soon he's in a position where he's wrestling with a guy. He picks up a rock, like a river rock, probably like 3 to 5 pound rock, and just smashes this soul and kills him. He has like blood spatters on his face. He's like, after he killed this dude, and I think in that moment he realized, some people need to die. Some people, and even though you're a good person, you're good, they're evil, they gotta go. And he fucks that dude out. And then they're just,
you're capable of it. Don't think you're not capable of it.
Yeah,
because you are.
Certainly was. He certainly was. And then that's
they annihilate these bad guys. And then the main general, he faces off with Rambo up on the top of the ridge.
real quick, Gabe, before we get to that, because that's like the final kill.
Yeah.
Then some of the boats start coming down the river. The boats are bad guys.
Right.
Rambo turns the 50 on them, and then Schoolboy gets a great headshot on a guy who's manning a 50 cal on the boat. Blam, his head. See ya, out of here. And then, then they're just spraying dudes left and right.
And then the CAIN rebels come down the hill. They're launching mortars at the bad guys too. And so the CAIN rebels, Rambo, and the mercenaries, they just wipe out these disgusting monsters. The militia guys. It's really
even
sad.
Lewis gets some. Lewis's legs are blown to shit. He even gets some. Starts taking headbutts a dude in the face. It kills him. Yeah, this scene is just pure, unadulterated, 100% organic, grass-fed action. Kill.
Yeah, and it was one of those moments where you're in the theater, and I remember sitting next to my stunt guys, and I actually went to the theater with a priest that I know, and I was with the stunt guys, and my Brian Orley was there, and he was like, we were sitting watching, he was like, holy fuck! Oh, sorry, Father. I'm sorry, Father. Oh my, whoa! I'm sorry, Father. He was one of the most hilarious things I've ever seen in my life. This rough, tough guy, like, keep apologizing to his priest for, like, language, but it really was like one of those moments that was electric, because this is just a throwback. It's a throwback to the movies of old, but I mean, it's like massively violent. Like this is, man. And Sly goes to me, he told me he gave me the second biggest kill rate in any of the Rambo movies apart from him.
Wow.
So he's killed them. And we killed in that movie, we killed enough people to fit in a plane, like a 747, I think it was. There's like 300 and something kills.
Hundreds of people.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of kills in that movie.
Most of them are in that last scene.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Right.
In that last scene.
Real quick, your friend and my new friend, Chris Lash, not to be confused with Chris Loesch, he says that gun is an M2 or known as a Mod Deuce. I have one of those. Wow. Matthew's going to come shoot it with me. I have 2,000 rounds belted.
Yeah, Chris doesn't live in California. If he has
that'll be a bad day when Chris gets a lot of trolls. I'm like, it'd be a bad day when you go and rent to Chris's house. Like, that's not going to be a good day for you.
So you're saying, Chris, we can narrow it down. You do not live in Berkeley. We know that.
Yeah, you do not live in where is it? Sonoma. You don't live in Sonoma. But that 50 right there, when you shoot that thing, you feel invincible.
Yeah.
There's nothing that can touch you when you're behind that thing. Just this boom, 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 boom. Those rounds going off. I mean, it's amazing. It is amazing. Have fun with that. Double ear protection. I definitely recommend that.
Yeah, it's funny when I was doing Black Hawk Down, the butt scene that that Gabe brought up, me trying to get up on the. I remember, like, I was very, very frustrated that I got the SAW, the M249, and everybody wanted that gun. Like, that they said to me, every guy on a fire team was like, I want to be the SAW gunner. Like, that's what I want to do. I don't want to carry an M4, and to look cool in a movie is one thing. To carry that bloody thing around is another. But again, it's like those heavier machine guns, like the Gimpies, what they call them in the UK, is the M60s. You want to be on those big guns, right, Jericho? I mean, that's what you want. You don't want the smaller ones in real life. Like, that's what you want.
Things are amazing. But this scene is, this was the movie right here.
It's a great action. I remember when I saw the commercials for this movie. What is the band? They were like deathcore, death metal.
It was Let the Bodies Hit the Floor,
and it was so it fit the trailer so good that that guitar riff, dun 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 dun. It was like really good. Dun dun dun
dun. Yeah, it was a great trailer, and the ad campaign they did was really good. That we had those like someone did a graffiti of Rambo. I don't know if you've seen that. I've got it on my. I've got the premiere tickets somewhere. I still got them. But there was like a spray. I don't know if it was a fan art. They did it, and it was just fantastic. It was really, really, really good.
Like you were going to say, Gabe, when he takes out General Tent with his big ass knife, he basically disembowels him, because General Tent, just like the fucking little weasel that he is, he's running away. He's going to escape and run away, and you think he's going to ride off into the sunset, but he's going past this tree, and Rambo takes his knife and sticks it out. Boom! It hits him right in the gut. And then as it's stuck in his gut, you see Rambo walk from around the tree, and you see it's him. And then he just looks him in his eyes, and the guy's like, and then he just takes a knife, runs it across his stomach, seppuku style, like the samurais, and just opens this dude up. All his guts come falling out, and he like kicks him, and he rolls down the hill.
And he falls in half. His body's almost falling in half.
Yeah, and then you see Rambo standing here, and the dude's guts are on the knife. There's a big old piece of intestine hanging on the knife. I just noticed that for the first time when I watched it yesterday. I was like, oh shit, that is disgusting in the best way. But yeah, he fucks General Tent up real bad, and he deserves it. With the little boy and all the shit he did to those people. That was a perfect way for him to die, just to get basically, like you said, get cut in half.
But Sly did a really great job in building that character up, so you just detested him. Like, I think that it is one of those things where you have to, if you're going to disembowel someone, right, and still be a hero, you've got to make the bad guy like really shitty, right? Like you've got to make him very, very bad. And I think that Sly did like I said, he's
mission accomplished.
He's a brilliant writer. And
that dude's a piece of shit.
Well, the general was ultra evil, and then all of his men were too. There was nothing good about them.
They took pleasure.
Yeah,
that scene where they threw the landmines and the rice paddies and shot them. They took pleasure in shooting those people and killing them.
Right. Yeah. And then they make those girls dance, and then they we can't say it here, but they assault them, and not good. So they all deserve what they got, very much so.
It's something I thought about when I was watching it is I remember hearing Nazi soldiers interviewed after the war, and some of them were saying that they had to do it. They had to join the Nazis, or they would have been killed. So they had to do these things. They had to carry out these atrocities against people. And I'm sure some of that's true. And probably there were some psychos who enjoyed it. But with these guys, I remember thinking when I was watching it, thinking about that. But these guys, you didn't see that in them. None of them gave a moment's pause. None of them looked at each other like, man, are we really going to do this? They were all for it. And it was fun to them. It was a game because these people, they didn't look at them. They didn't see them as human. Once you take away that human element, then it's easy to do. You see that here, with labeling people as Nazis and all this kind of stuff. Because
you got to dehumanize them. You got to dehumanize them.
Once you do that, then you can do whatever you want to them with impunity and not even think twice about it. But these guys, they loved it, and they earned that 50 caliber.
And by the way, I think that if this movie would have been made a few years later, it probably would have been ISIS that they would have gone after, because they were just as callous and evil as the Burmese. I mean, they would do. Remember when they showed that video of them drowning the guys in the pool, and then setting guys on fire. That one Jordanian, I think it was a Jordanian or Egyptian pilot. That they set on fire. I mean, that there's real evil in the world, and I'm just very glad that we have the kind of men and women that serve in our military that are combating that. I don't know what it's like right now, Jericho. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't want my kids to go in, but you know what I'm saying?
Nate's memes. I haven't seen this movie yet. I need to watch it. Absolutely. It's a good one. You think, oh, Rambo, they haven't made a Rambo in 20 years, and then they make this 20 years after Rambo 3. And I would say it's second, like you say, Matthew. A lot of people tell you after First Blood, I think this one is the second one for sure.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think wounded veteran coming back from Vietnam, crying to Sheriff Teasel in the downtown. Oh. You can't beat that scene in First Blood. That's insane.
Yeah.
But this one is right there with it because, like I said, he faces what he is. He's an ultimate killing machine, and he's going to use it for righteous justice. And that's it's an ugly, necessary, very adult opinion to have. It's a very realistic opinion. So
yeah, and I think, I mean, could this movie get made today? I don't know. But the interesting thing about this as well, just for the people that are watching, that Sly put all the violence in, and he thought they're going to cut it down, and this, I mean, what an iconic end shot. I mean, when I watched that, I'm like, oh, this is just great. But
it mirrors the first movie, it really mirrors it.
So great. It's so great. And I personally, I wish that this would have been the last film. Yeah, I mean, I think that it goes full circle. I think this brings him home. And again, like as a fan of the film franchise, even though I would have loved to have gone on and done a bunch of movies with him and spun off a schoolboy. Listen, there's still legs in this old guy yet. We still might get a schoolboy spin-off.
I'll tell you,
yeah.
Matthew, a friend of mine, two friends of mine, Chuck Dixon, one of the greatest Batman writers, the Punisher writer. He writes independent comics now. He wrote a book, First Blood, or not First Blood, First Kill, and it's Rambo prequels in Vietnam and all that. And a friend of mine co-wrote, I kind of gave the ideas, Chuck Dixon, the writer. So I thought, that's why I told you, and I'll just say this probably, schoolboy graphic novel eventually gets turned into the schoolboy TV show or movie.
I mean, look,
I'm just telling you.
Sly
If you know any
doing
guys
at
that have their
60.
own comic book companies, if you know any guys that do that.
Yeah, no, seriously, it'd be good. I think that would, the funny thing is Schoolboy is a beloved character. Like, everyone loves that character. Everyone loves that character. I'm very lucky to have played that role. And again, I was actually having a discussion about this with a friend of mine the other day. And just to give a little bit of insight again to the people that are watching, if you are like, for me as an actor, I always give everything I've got on every production. Doesn't matter how much the budget is, doesn't matter how much money I'm getting paid. I'm always going to give to the best of my ability. And what is the difference when that happens is the quality of the material and the director, right? Because you can do really well. I mean, they say make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. You can do stuff with bad material, but it's hard. It's very difficult. You can certainly make it better than what it originally is by you can mess around with it a little bit, but the main thing is that the director comes in and catches those moments, and it's especially important if you're going to be subtle. Like I'm tend to be a subtle, like what I call like a smaller actor. I don't go. I mean, I can do it, and I have done it a couple of times, but I'd much rather be more contained keep things very, as I say, very close. So you come in with a tighter lens and you get it. And that's what Sly does. If you look at some of those scenes, you got the big scenes, but when he's coming in on him, so for example, that scene where he's got the bow, he's here. He's not even here. And he's not even an MCU. I mean, close up, right? He's here. He's so close, right? Graham, see, look at that. Look at how close that is. You don't see that in film nowadays. They don't do that. And look at what it's all about, conveying the emotion. And he knows that. He's brilliant at it. He's a completely underrated filmmaker, by the way. Completely underrated director. He's a great director.
I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
No, so he comes in really close, and there's a couple of other things like in this scene, they cut across and they cut to me, and he gets me just doing this. It's just I just look, right? And it's just a look. And if you come out a little bit like this, you lose the look, right? You lose it. It doesn't have so much impact. But you got to remember that is going to be on a 50-foot screen, however long, 60-foot screen, right? You are right in nice and close, right? See, that was like a mid-close that we just showed me, and then he pops in closer. There's another one that's closer. And so he gets those moments, and that is crucial in conveying the emotion in a scene, right? It's crucial in because you want to be true to the story, and you don't want to be, I mean, this is my approach anyway. I don't want to be the middle of it. I don't want to be the center of it. I want to be a part, like, think of it as like a concerto. You just want to be playing your part in it. And there shouldn't be a moment where you go, oh, wow, hang on a minute. And so he does that very, very well in melding he does it with tint, right? He comes in close on tint a lot of the time. So I think one of the opening scenes is him with the glasses, right? Like, and there's that famous shot of him with the village burning in his glasses. It's a shot. So Sly knows how to do this because he's an actor and he's a director. So he comes in really, really close on these things. And that's why the movie's so effective.
Yeah.
Right. So it's super effective. And we've kind of lost that. That's why, like, you watch the superhero movies, they just don't have the same impact as something like this.
No, not even close.
And this is just an action movie. It's not like you wouldn't consider it to be like a drama, like a Merchant Ivory production. But if you're looking at it, the reason why you hate Tint so much, like Jericho's like, oh, I hate that guy, is because you have the drama. It's there. He's not like a plastic disposable villain, right? It's all been built up throughout the process. And even like I say, like Schoolboy, that character comes in and he catches those moments. He, even with Graham, he comes in, he makes it intimate. It's like, I'll just tell you this just quickly. Like, if you guys know Silence of the Lambs, one of the brilliant things they did with that, if you remember, like Hannibal Lecter's behind the plastic, and then you've got Clarice Starling is there. And then what happens is they cut past the barrier. So when they have that conversation, you think about it next time, when they have that conversation, they're inside each one of the separate portions, right? So you're in Hannibal Lecter's cell, and you're on the opposite side of his cell when you're talking to Clarice Starling. So what it does, it makes it more intimate. It brings them closer, and because it brings them closer, it elevates the risk. Because as people, we're watching it and we're not thinking that there is a barrier between them. We're like, this is a killer, and she's right there. It's like you feel like she's right there. It's just great filmmaking. Great filmmaking.
I wanted to ask you this, Matt.
Yeah.
What's an action movie like that you could watch anytime? If you catch it, on TV, you'll watch it. Like, is there an action movie of yours that you could watch anytime?
Predator. I mean, it's a perfect action movie.
Son of a bitch.
Get to the chopper. There's a bomb. No,
Billy. So many.
Lethal Weapon as well. Lethal Weapon, the first one.
Yeah.
Is so great. The script is great. The performances. I mean, Mel Gibson is unbelievable in that film.
Psycho.
Like, he's unbelievable. Yeah, you want to jump? He's just so great. Like,
let's jump.
Let's do it.
We have a question from Michael Coulter. Hey, Matt, what about steak and kidney pie? Or if you're in Bermuda, they make a thing called fish chowder. It's really good. Have you had either of these?
Oh, steak and kidney pie. Yeah, all the time. I love that. I'm trying to get them, Michael. I'm trying to get these guys to eat steak and kidney pie. It is amazing. And fish chowder. Chowder. I've had chowder. I love chowder.
I'll tell you this, Matt. If we were on a bullet train called UK food, British food, you pull that little cord to stop to let people know what you're stopping.
Yeah.
I got off on cucumber and shrimp sandwich.
Yeah, you'd have been out like we would have left the station. You'd have been like, no, I'm out.
Immediately let me off. I can't.
Just shoulder rolled out the window,
I don't know. But if one day we were to meet and we were together, we went out to eat and they happened to have steak and kidney pie, out of respect for you, Matt, I would try it on my own in the world without you guiding me through the culinary streets of the UK. I would not.
I think you're going to have a sneaky one. I think it's going to play in your mind and you're going to be like, waking up at 2:00 and you're like, steak and kidney pie, I've got to have it.
Right.
I promise.
He's going to sit up in bed. Steak and kidney.
Jericho's like, no, that's never going to happen.
I don't make a lot of promises.
Happening.
I learned that having kids, don't make a lot of promises, but I promise you, I will not wake up out of my sleep.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Matthew. Now, I am representing where you currently live. I love Buc-ee's. I love
Buc-ee's, yeah.
Can you get proper British food there in Dallas, or near wherever you live, near Dallas or wherever you live, actually? But
do you know what? I've not tried. Actually, there's a pub here that I've been a couple of times called the Londoner.
All right.
It's a very innovative name. And it actually is very much like a British pub. Like, you go in there, it does smell of stale beer, like, because there's the wooden floors and you get beer on the floor. So it's the most probably authentic feeling pub that I've been to. Actually, been there with Chris. And yeah, they have good British food there. Actually, I think they have. I think they had a shepherd's pie. They have a good shepherd's pie there. It's at the Londoner.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
it's pretty good. But like you can't really go out and buy. That in LA, there's a lot of places you can go and buy. There's one. Is it that there's the Coach and Horses? There's one down in Santa Monica that has a shop next to it. There's the Coach and Horses, the Fox and Hounds. There's a few good ones in Los Angeles, a few good British pubs down there. But there's one down in Santa Monica, and you can get Marmite. You can get like what you would call cookies. We call biscuits.
No, a biscuit is for breakfast.
biscuit,
Gravy.
butter
biscuit.
jam on it.
You know, Jericho, sadly, the British, they don't have biscuits like we have. They have something close called the scone, but it isn't like a southern biscuit.
So you would, in the UK, you would say, let me get a chocolate chip biscuit.
Yeah. No, you'd say, let me get a chocolate. You wouldn't say chocolate chip biscuit, but they're all like cookies are cookies. Those are cookies.
So there are chocolate chip cookies there.
Yeah, but they're just called cookies. It's just like a cookie. Like that is the name of it, the cookie. But then you'll have like custard creams, jammy Dodgers, bourbons, Garibaldi's. They're all different types.
I feel like I'm in Harry Potter right now.
Jaffa cakes. Jaffa cakes are really good. You have them over here. There's something weird. They have them in. They have them
Jericho, would you like to come over for some flipper flappers?
Some flipper flappity flip flops.
I'll tell you one thing.
You don't know how funny this sounds to American ears. It's charming.
One thing that I definitely want to experience is going to a pub, a British pub in the UK, and watching a soccer game.
Oh, it's
get that real, because you guys take soccer very seriously, and I would love to go over and experience that.
Well, it's going to a game is unbelievable. So we, my soccer team, which is West Bromwich Albion. Don't ask me to repeat it because you'll be like, "What?"
West Bromwich Albion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. West Bromwich Albion, and they are in the playoffs this weekend. So on Sunday,
so
yeah. So it's going to be
with his chip buddy, his shrimp and cucumber sandwiches,
yeah,
and a nice big bowl of kidney pudding or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, steak and kidney pudding. Yeah, steak and kidney pie. Yeah,
yeah, steak and kidney pudding sounds disgusting.
Yeah, no, that doesn't sound good.
Real quick, Chris Lash, hearing Matt explain the process and Sly's brilliance is really eye-opening. I sincerely hope a Schoolboy film gets made. That is why
that'd be awesome.
I'm telling you, the Schoolboy graphic novel, then that turns into a movie. It's a proof of concept. I'm telling you, we can do this. We can do this. We can get it done.
Yeah, and it's great. It picks up, years later, the age you are now. Maybe you've done some missions with Rambo and stuff, and you're kind of, you branched out on your own. Hell yeah, that'd be a great movie.
Well, I think it'd be super cool.
That's why I told you about my friend Chuck Dixon doing the first kill of graphic novels. That means whoever has the rights to this stuff, they're open to it being adapted into comic books currently. You know what I mean? So there you go.
I don't know, because it's one of those things where I don't know who owns the rights to that. So I think because Sly wrote Rambo, Rambo 4, he wrote that movie. I'm not entirely sure whether he would have the rights to the actual character of Schoolboy because he created it, or whether it would reside with Millennium Films, who were the people who made the film. I'm not entirely sure. So, but
I say we look into it.
Figure it out.
Let's make it happen. My daughter, the brilliant comedian herself, Minnie Elton, who's up on stage at the world famous Comedy Store last night, killing it as usual. She says, "It's Tuesday, isn't it, bloody hell?"
It's right, because that's how we do say Tuesday. It's Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Now what
Tuesday, isn't it? Bloody hell.
Now, if I wanted to ride the subway on a Tuesday, what would you call that, Matthew?
You're gonna go on the tube on Tuesday.
The tube on Tuesday.
Wow.
Yeah, tube. Yeah. I've changed though now. I get confused. I get all discombobulated because I'm a little bit Americanized now.
Right. Tony C, one of the great ones. Tony, I sent you a shirt today in the mail, by the way. She got a Dean Cain All-American Lawman t-shirt, which you can get at bigmancomics.com right now.
Nice.
So Tony is an Aussie. Yeah, Tony's an Aussie with the Tim Tams. Tim Tams are good.
We have the Tim Tams. What's a Tim Tams? This chocolate, I hope, or something weird?
It's a cookie.
Oh, I thought you were going to say
Yeah, they're
it's
very good actually. Tim
prawns,
Tams.
prawns and figs and cucumbers, a little
Yeah,
bit
some
of white
weird shit
onion.
like
She said like it's an onion covered in chocolate.
Right.
Mm.
A little bit of kidney blood, you know.
sounds delicious.
Mm-mm.
Mm.
Oh,
And
goodness.
some kind of bread that looks like a butthole. It's great. Real nice.
I got it.
UK,
This
real
is
nice.
the new thing. You know, like you had like homeboy bakeries, and we can have butthole bakeries.
Butt-O's. Would you like a butt-O?
Butthole bakery.
I'm sure they have an amazing British word for butthole too. Oh, it's your something something.
It's a
gotta be-
stinker. Nice stinker. Nice turd cutter.
Matthew, we do, believe it or not, we do want you to come back. Don't be too offended.
No, it's been great. It's been great. It's
Despite all these disrespectful things that I'm saying. we
I
do
know,
want
and
you
I've got
come
to, you
back.
know, I'm going to come on, and me and Jericho are going to have a chat as well.
Oh, we are.
We'll get into it. I've just been like super like manic. So yeah, but we
Like
will.
my dad would say, busier than a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's been a bit crazy. I've got a movie coming out, so you guys. I'm actually coming to LA. I'm coming to LA. I did tell you, right?
Is that the premiere I was going to join you at?
Yeah. Where are you, Jericho?
I'm up north near Sacramento. But hey, if we're making a date, I'll come down there and
All right,
shake
let's
the hand of
We'll
Matthew
do that.
Let's make
We'll
it happen.
Eat the steak and kidneys with you at your movie premiere thing. Like we'll go to
I will
dinner.
not do- I will
Yeah,
not
no,
do
it'd be yeah, we can go to we should do that would be funny, wouldn't it? If we went
I'll
down
do it.
to
I'll
the
eat, listen, Jericho
I'll eat-
knows this. The chat knows this. I don't eat seafood. It grosses me out. I'll eat anything else. I'll eat the kidneys, whatever. I'll eat the baguettes. I'm not eating seafood.
You'll eat a baguette, but you won't eat seafood.
I'm gonna go to West Hollywood and eat a baguette. So that's
everyone's
Be
gonna know
careful.
what a baguette means now. Like it's gonna be code for something.
If you guys go down there and eat steak and kidney pie, I'll wait outside.
all right.
No,
You don't
dude,
wanna
you
watch?
gotta have it. You gotta have it. But
I'll be
all right, so
outside.
I'll sort you guys out some tickets. All right, I'll
wow, that's
call the
amazing,
team
dude.
and we'll go.
That'd be
And
great,
this
man.
is it, guys. When does this come out? It's Protocol 7. Let me pop this up on the screen.
Protocol
is this the right
7.
one? Protocol 7.
Yeah, people should go watch the trailer. You're gonna be like very, very pissed off, and it's gonna open a lot of people's eyes. Actually, it's really good, and we've won a few awards actually over the last few days out in New York. So I have to go out to New York, then I've got to go. We're having a premiere in Austin, and then I'm coming out to LA. So LA is the
Everybody,
last.
That's the link right there. Protocol 7. I threw it in the chat. I just copied that from YouTube. Check that out. When does that come out in theaters?
They're doing a bunch of gather events. I want to say like not next week, the week after. I'm not sure when the release is yet. It's got to be around the time that we do the premiere. It's been manic for me, so I've been all over the place. So and the producers have been in Hong Kong, so I've got to speak to them and find out when it's coming out. But it's going to be in the next like 4 weeks.
Okay.
Because it's
Well,
an
I'm sharing
indie,
it.
so like I don't know how. But the gather events are like you can go and have your own theater and invite a
Okay.
bunch of people around. So they're doing that. Again, I've had a bunch of requests for that, so I've got to see if I can go and meet some people. But it's everyone should watch this film. Certainly, people that are tuned in to you guys should watch it.
Well, I
And it
just
has
shared
a,
it.
Scandalous. It's a true story, based on a true story.
A topic YouTube won't let us say the word, but just watch the trailer. YouTube, this is one of the main words they've been mad about for a few years. If that gives
Well,
you a hint what this might be about.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous.
I just shared it on X, and I will be watching the trailer as soon as we
All right.
part ways tonight. So I'm excited.
100%, brother. Well, I'll meet you in LA anytime, any place. Just tell me to be up there, and I will drive my Ford F-150. Like
Oh
tree.
yeah, America.
That's right, baby. I'll drive it up the 5 freeway. I live in San Diego, so it's
Yeah.
like 2 hours to get up there.
Yeah, unless it's a Friday, and then it's 4 days.
When my daughter lived in Hollywood for a year doing stand-up up there, and I went and stayed with her about 3-4 times, but I wouldn't leave my house till 9 at night. That way there was no traffic.
There's no point.
And I could
There's no point. I mean,
but I could get
Friday.
to Hollywood in an hour and a half from my house at 9 p.m. I could get there in an hour.
Really?
Yeah, if I left at regular time, it's 4 hours to get to Hollywood from my
Yeah,
house.
you can't do that.
Well,
I mean,
I'll hop on a plane and come down there. No problem.
all right, let me figure that out.
Steak and kidney pie for everyone.
Yeah, it's steak and kidney pies on me.
All right.
There you go.
Yeah, we'll stream it. We'll make some video and put it on YouTube for everyone to see.
Yeah,
us
that'll be
too.
fun, right? I think people
So,
enjoy that.
Yeah, it'll be awesome. That'll be awesome. So, okay.
Oh,
Anything
my
else?
God.
Anything else? You promoted Protocol 7. Anything else? you
No,
wanna
just
say?
people. If people could go along and subscribe to my channel, I'm I'm
Right.
trying to build it just so we can get the word out. I haven't gone live yet. I haven't done any of those livey thingies, but I've done live obviously on other people's channels. But I want to kind of like do a lot of different things. So, for example, if you haven't seen it, I do a whole thing on the proof for the existence of an immaterial soul, right? Which is kind of cool. Speak to a friend of mine who's a very, very, very smart guy, philosopher, and then just doing other things outside of speak to a couple of guys, veterans. A friend of mine who was a military cross recipient, which is a gallantry medal from the Queen, and he's an amazing person. I'm waiting to speak to my friend who was the WBC super middleweight champion of the world. So, like just like talking to different people, because believe it or not, I actually don't like talking about me. I don't mind talking about like when people love like movies, because who doesn't love movies? And it just happens that I'm in them. It's my job, or used to be anyway. So, it's nice to talk about it, but I don't really. I'm not an actor that would really want to go and talk about myself, believe it or not. So, but yeah, if people could go and subscribe, that I would really, really appreciate it.
Already done.
Very cool.
Thank you,
Real
man.
quick, I'm telling you, that there's a link right there in the chat, guys. Subscribe to Matthew Marsden right now. You're watching on YouTube, you're watching on Twitter, you're watching on Facebook. We're broadcasting all those places. Subscribe. It's just a click, guys. You'll love his channel. Look at all the great behind the scenes he gave us for this movie. This was a delight. I wanted you to come on and talk about this movie for so long. Me and Jericho have been talking about this. This could not have gone better, dude. You're such a wonderful guest to have on here. Real quick, just so you know, again, about you acting, I'm telling you, we're going to do The Schoolboy. It's going to be a movie. It's going to be a TV show, something after we made the graphic novel. My buddy, Chuck Dixon, that is writing the Rambo prequel comic book, he writes novels, Levon's Trade, sort of like a Jack Reacher character. Stallone is producing this as a TV show starring Jason Statham. It's debuting very soon.
Really?
So I'm telling you, it's the right time. It's the right time, right place. I'm telling you, this is going to work out. Everybody subscribe to him. Jericho, you got anything you want to promote before we get out of here?
Well, you guys know where to find me. Hit Jericho Green, search it in YouTube, Google, whatever. I'll pop up. But one new thing is I am back on X. It's been about 5 years. I got kicked off about 5 years ago for saying something mean about Alyssa Milano, but it is under new ownership, so there are new rules to play by. I am back, so make sure you check that out at @green_Jericho.
All right, check that out, guys. Two things I want to talk about, and then we'll let Matthew go back to his lovely family. I am working on lots of comic books, as you know. Go to bigmancomics.com and you can get Dean Cain All-American Lawman. I have about between 300 and 400 copies left of the first edition, the first printing. I had thousands and thousands of these, and we're down to just a few left. When they're gone forever. I will do second editions and all that, but you know how collectibles work. And also in the works right now, here's concept art for Jericho Green and the Hammerheads. This is like the Goonies, Stranger Things. If you love like middle schoolers, this is concept art I was doing. This is Abraham Mercado. He's the bad boy of the group, the Raphael from Ninja Turtles, Wolverine. We have a young Jericho Green here with the gap in the teeth that he used to have.
Old school.
I'm doing lots of concept art and working on plot for that. This is what I've been sketching around. I love this little character. I'm really getting used to him. Look, he's got a slingshot there. You guys are going to love this. If you love Goonies, you love Stranger Things, mixed in with the sci-fi horror of They Live, the John Carpenter film, that's what this is like. It's Goonies and They Live. That'll be coming from Jericho and myself. It's going to be so much fun. Let me show you two other things. I'll get you guys the heck out of here. We got this, Earth Illuminated. This is being drawn by my friend Philippe Briones. He's an amazing animator.
Wow.
Disney. Awesome. We work together at DC Comics. This is Star Wars and Interstellar. That's what this is combined. Lots of heart, a husband and wife team, a tyrannical dictator, and a lost promised kingdom that they're trying to prove, to tell people there's a better way than living under the evil, the awful Casimir, the guy back there in the red. And then, of course, Dean Cain, All-American Lawman. You guys know that. You love it. If you haven't got it, please go get that today. It'll blow your face off in a good way. In a good way. You'll absolutely love it, guys. I had such a joy making this with my good friend Dean. That's actually a production piece. So that's what a cover looks like when you make it. You have the spine in the middle, the back cover, and the front cover. That's actually what the art looks like. So go get that. There's a little bit of the first printing left. And we will see you guys next week. I don't know what movie we're doing, Jericho. I have no idea. We've never done Blues Brothers. We haven't done Romance in the Stone. There's so many we need to get to. So I don't know.
Bruce Lee. Don't forget Bruce Lee.
Maybe we've been
Into
talking
the
about Bruce.
Dragon.
We've been talking about Bruce Lee for over a year. So I think it's going to be Bruce Lee. I think we'll
I don't even need to watch it. I will,
Okay.
but I don't need to watch any of those movies. I grew up watching those repeatedly.
Okay.
Love them.
All right. Matthew, come back for anything you want. Black Hawk Down, anything.
Thank you, man.
Talk about
Thank you.
back and all that. And me and Jericho, we'll see you in LA. You tell me when and where, and I will be there, buddy.
Roger that. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks, Matt.
All right,
All right,
everyone.
good
Have a
night.
great night. Thank you. Bye-bye. Oh, I got a super chat. Sorry. $20 to Kaiser Schlinkenfupen. Thank you very much. And I will give you this. You got in under the
Shake
wire,
it.
like Indiana Jones sliding under that door. And let me find your little reward. Thank you so much for sending
Shake,
that.
shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. Shake your booty. Shake your
It looks like you're asking, who is Jesus to you? Is that what you're asking? He's my Lord and Savior, of course. He's the Son of
Lord
God.
and Savior. Of
He's who I
course.
believe in. Absolutely. So thank you
Everything.
for the 20 Canadian, which who knows how much that is. We'll see you guys next
Millions.
week. All righty. Bye-bye.